Heartache 1. This is bad. The leader of the group could no longer keep up the courage to fight this fear. Without another thought, the individual ditches his companions and turns tails for the other way in a thin glimmer of hope to save his own hide. However, it's too late. The scorching flame that materialized as he did so came shooting over in a blast of radiant heat, engulfing him and burning him into ash. Acting in a similar effect to a plague, the purgatory flames quickly contaminated the rest of the city after the initial explosion, burning and incinerating the structures in its wake. Fortunately, most if not all of the residences were able to escape in time after having the battle dragged on for so long. Otherwise the victims here today would be in the tens of thousands. But this fact did not matter to the young lass who caused all this though. That mind of hers was quickly losing upon itself, replaced only by anger and a murderous intent for all living things. So, by the time Keeper Ling and the rest of his fellows from the Celestial Palace arrived was when this scene of carnage reached its peak. The last standing atop of a pile of what remained of the defenders with a couple survivors wailing in pain, and one extending their hand out for help. Sadly for the grumpy keeper who attempted to charge in at this cruel scene, the perpetrator didn't give him the chance to do anything, incinerated the last of the survivor like a big slap at his face without surprise. Keeper Ling felt an indescribable burst of anger, wanting to explode out of his chest. Fixating his menacing eye at the one responsible. Little girl, I do not believe there is any grudge between us. Why do you attack and murder so many of us from the celestial realm? This wasn't the first attack on one of the cities under their management. The only reason they never came out was due to the threat of the demon realm attacking if they interfered. That's why the old-timer felt so angry. He's angry at himself for not acting sooner and allowing this heinous carnage to run so long. You all deserve it. They all deserve to die. You. Drawing his sword in one full swing, Keeper Ling didn't hesitate, and slashes down at the young lass's head after getting the broken answer. Despite the sudden and sneaky maneuver, the blood-covered girl neither hid nor dodged, only strolling forward as the sword came down. It hit and a sharp gash now shows from the shoulder down to the right elbow. It's painful to even glare at it as the blood poured out. Keeper Ling, this little girl doesn't seem to be right in the head. Keeper Zun zoned in at the erratic tone and commented, her symptoms, it's as if she's gone berserk. Not only that, she seems to sense a deep level of sadness as well exuding from the girl's body, as if she's willing to throw away the life she had due to its meaningless existence. Not good. The kind keeper exclaimed suddenly, she's not only gone berserk, she also wants to commit suicide with us. Suicide? Jolting to attention at the phrase, Keeper Ling, who had the biggest balls among his peers, didn't want to get an inch closer at this point. He's arrogant and stubborn at times, but that doesn't mean he's willing to die for nothing. So turning to his sword, he slashes out multiple times and shot out energy blade after energy blade. The repeated attack worked. Falling into tatters, the blood-stained dress was cut all over with the deep wounds on that body to showing for it. In light of the savage hits, she doesn't falter and lacked any image of someone suffering from pain. On the contrary, there's only a deeper level of hatred in that dainty little face, which manifested into a deep dark black burning fire that scorched everything in its vicinity. Keeper Ling, don't let her near us. Keeper Zun advises his peer in great shock. Make no mistake, there's no question in the kind keeper's mind that the girl's current state was dreadfully dangerous. Take that black burning fire. It's giving him such a bad feeling that he instinctively. Heartache 2. Keeper Ling didn't relent in his attacks, only increasing in his furor by throwing blow after blow out towards the demonic being. Sadly for him though, that deep dark flame reacted with a mind of its own, burning and incinerating any energy blade he shot at her. Then to counter his own attacks, the pyre of black suddenly took on the shape of a dragon and pounced at himself, whistling over in a mounting charge of death. Run! Keeper Yellow grits his teeth and yells this out aloud, not wanting to keep mixing himself with this freaky girl. He could see the attacks were fruitless. When did the demon realm have another strong one like this? Why didn't we know about this? Seeing Yellow already fleeing for his own life, the other keepers who also witnessed this immediately turned tail and ran as well. However, one of them acted just a tad too late there, and got caught by the flaming dragon that coiled into a deathly grip around the leg. By the time any of them realizes this had befallen one of their own, it was already late. All they could hear were the deafening scream of their own brother in this dark, damp night, as they glanced backwards. As much as their hearts wanted to help, they are aware there's nothing they could do but flee from the scene of carnage. Dragony wasn't going to let them escape, of course. Increasing her pace to give chase, the girl didn't make it far before a hand suddenly grabbed her by the shoulder and stopped her on the spot. As retaliation, she swiped backwards in a reflexive jab at the person. Bang! The one doing this was none other than First Elder, who had just arrived on the site. He did not expect such a strong reaction in that instant, and took the hit fully, causing his old body to stumble backwards and shuddering in dismay. But as the old saying goes, an old bone always has more experience than the young. Despite getting hit, the old-timer was quickly able to recover and make sense of the carnage around the ruined city. Princess Dragony, what is going on here? Then seeing the wounds all over the young lass's body, First Elder's face darkened as he peered in the direction of those fleeing keepers. Is it the Celestial Palace who did this to you? Yet no reply came from the princess's mouth, only an indifferent stare at the old elder, before turning back to her initial course of giving chase. You can't go, First Elder exclaims, quickly reaching out again to grab hold of Dragony's hand. You are injured. If you continue to overdraw on your powers, then your life will be expended and you'll die. Funny part was that Dragony never intended to live after this fight anyways, thus making the elder's concern moot. Once she kills them all from the Celestial Palace, then she would kill herself regardless. It doesn't matter in the end. Go away. Finding the old elder won't go away, Dragony releases a sliver of her powers to shove the person away. This appalled the old elder. In honest truth, he never thought the young dragoness would hold such powers that threatened even himself. Above all, he could tell Dragony was already tapping into the dragon essence inside herself to power this feat. If this continues, then nothing would be able to save her. Like the old man suspected, the situation has gone from bad to worse in this brief period. However, not all hope was lost. Dragony still had a glimpse of sanity left in her. Otherwise the girl would have attacked the old grandpa in force at the beginning. Princess Dragony, you mustn't go. The Celestial Palace will be dealt with by the forces of the demon realm. At this rate you will really die. If you die, then what about the queen, your mother? And what about Prince Xiaochen? He is going to be extremely sad if you die. Hurrying to get in front with arms spread, First Elder didn't want to risk letting her get away after seeing that feet moving. And sure enough, the very mention of those two brought a wavering stall to Dragony's movement. Yet it's not due to her coming back to reason. Nay, it's an intensified anger swirling in those eyes like it's going to erupt. Heartache 3. Those people killed mother and brother Xiaochen. Those people killed them. They're all damned and deserves it. I'm going to avenge them by murdering them all. Crying her hearts out, Dragony's body began curling up into a ball as she clasped her head in agony. There's so much sadness in that voice that it's unbearable. First Elder's heart raged at this like a good senior would when facing a junior's pain. He doesn't know what has been said by those bastards, but it couldn't have been good if Dragony would lose herself to such extent. Even so, the old demon doesn't intend to act just yet. Not until the king and queen returns anyways. It's just a matter of time. And when they do return, the first to be conquered would be the Celestial Palace. I am so miserable. Mother is not around anymore. Prince brother is not around anymore. Why is it only me here? It's so painful. I'll murder them all. At first the old demon elder thought his persuasion had some effect in bringing the princess back to her senses. But that last bit about murdering them all instantly shattered any illusion he had about that notion. Then glancing down at those red menacing eyes, he saw the madness swirling within those irises. It's enough to make him flinch backwards like he's peering into a chaotic void ready to devour the whole world. Princess, neither the queen nor prince is dead. If they see you like this, then it will only cause them great pain. Do you not see that? Move, liar, you're a liar. Shoving the old elder aside in anguish, That tearful face told the world she didn't believe any of it. They are gone. I can't feel their presence anymore. Before I can always sense Mother's energy signature no matter where she is. Now I can't. I can't at all. I'm going to avenge her. I'm going to avenge her and murder them all. In light of the shove, First Elder continues to cling on to her, like a helpless grandfather, trying to save his own grandchild. He knows, unless the Queen returns in person, and do something about this, there's no stopping the princess from going berserk. But would that be possible? The Queen only disappeared not too long ago. What are the chances that she would return this quickly? But then suddenly as he thought of this, beam of light gradually appears from the night sky, dispersing the dark clouds like a ray of sunshine. Seemingly becoming aware of this event above his own head, First Elder slowly raises his head to look up. Then that's when he saw it. That incredible picture of a woman and child coming down from the void, and causing his eyes to widen in shock and glee. He's trembling with excitement, and an indescribable sense of fortune. The familiar red, and that familiar smile, it's everything that he could ask for. Then that boy, that sly yet adorable young face of a boy he would love to cradle in a protective basket. They're the demon queen and demon prince he sought to bring back to help himself. Heartache 4. Dragony. Initially Bai Yin expected to re-enter the celestial realm from somewhere closer to where she left off. Yet that wasn't the case. Nor did she expect to find her goddaughter lying there on the ground all bloodied up and in tatters. What's going on? Who is the one who hurt you like this? She quickly descends from the sky and lands before the stunned-looking lass, her arms open and readying to reach out to help. The dragoness didn't utter a word though at those welcoming arms. Instead, she wholeheartedly threw herself over to the demon queen and wrapped those little arms around the woman's waist, refusing to let go in fear of losing her for a second time. Dragony, tell me, what is going on here? Caressing the girl's back in a soothing gesture after nearly losing her balance, Bai Yin could tell something terrible must have occurred to rattle her daughter to this extent. I only left for a short while. How did things turn out like this? I bet it's those from the Celestial Palace who did this again. Wah. Wah. Under that soft cooing, Dragony finally crumbled and began to weep in earnest. There's no madness in the eye, nor cold menacing hatred for the world in that sob. Only the pitiful crying of a sad little girl who suddenly got her world back. They told me you and Brother Xiachen were dead. Wah, I don't want you to die. I don't want you. Recognizing the princess's state of mind has returned, First Elder, who's been dreadfully worried up until now, could feel at ease and released the tense grip around his hand. He was ready to move if the princess attacked the demon queen. That's how alarmed the old demon felt when he saw the girl jumping at the older woman. Likewise, Bai Xiachen also saw the unstable mind of Dragony, who continued to cry. He didn't know how to show his emotions right now aside from clenching his fist in frustration. He knew it's not his fault, but he could disregard the guilt and felt inside for not being around for the lass when she needed him the most. I will definitely make those who hurt her pay. The steambun vowed inwardly, his eyes firm and strong. Dragony, I will not die, Xiachen will not die, and we will never leave you. Bai Yin says, using her soft, gentle voice reserved only for the kids. How can they claim I'm dead before my daughter? With Dragony's personality, she would never be able to take the trauma. I will never forgive those bastards. Really? Dragony finally lets up her damp mood and looked up to face the demon queen. You're not just trying to coax me? You'll really never leave? The girl's really afraid, fearing right down to her core. No one knows the crumbling feeling of her world disappearing during these past few days. Unlike her childhood where no one loved her, Bai Yin was the only sunshine in her life. Without that light, there's only darkness and despair. Really? Inhaling deeply, Bai Yin forcibly presses down the swirling emotion from within to show a reassuring smile. When did Mother lie to you? Now take a medicinal pill and recover first, okay? Heartache 5. Okay. Dragony obediently nods after being offered a shiny green bead. If only those keepers could see this right now. If they did, then they would surely be popping their eyes out. The way the dragoness behaved was like a 180, a stark contrast to the world-devouring version just minutes ago. Mother, my heart is uncomfortable. Bai Xiachen sniffled his nose in a choking manner after witnessing Dragoni take the medicine from Bai Yan's hand. We mustn't let those who injured her go. Clenching her fist, Bai Yan was of the same opinion. Dragoni, who hurt you? Looking up with those teary eyes, the girl answered without hesitation. It's the people from the Celestial Palace. The Celestial Palace? The Demon Queen's face darkened some more, her eyes narrowing into a slit. Those bastards still haven't learned yet? How dare they hurt my daughter? In that case, I will be sure to settle the old and new debt altogether. Dragoni, does it still hurt? She asks in aching pain, both for herself and her sweet daughter. The question actually brought a momentary daze to the little girl. Truthfully, Dragoni herself didn't feel any pain despite all the physical injury on her body. Rather, the pain had hailed from the mental side, the soul. Now that Bai Yan has returned, that pain was also gone. It doesn't hurt. The dragoness shakes her head before turning to the teary steam bun. Prince brother, did you cry? Startled at being called out, Bai Xiachen hurriedly wipes his watery eye to put on a strong face. I did not. I am a man. I will not cry. As if he would admit that even if he did. That's good, said Dragoni with a brilliant smile. It really doesn't hurt, so don't feel sad for me. I'm so happy you're back. That did it. Originally the steam bun could still hold back his tears, but that remark instantly broke the dam and made him leak those droplets. In his haste, Bai Xiachen had to quickly turn away and wipe the corner of his eye to not look so emotional. Queen Prince. First Elder figured it's time he spoke since everyone's slightly calmer now. Now that you are back, His Majesty should wake up too. Are we going back to the demon realm first? No need to hurry, we can head back home later. First we must settle a debt here. Just thinking of what the Celestial Palace has done during her absence was enough to make the woman's blood boil. Unfortunately for Bai Yan's plan, she miscalculated in this case, and the courage those people had. Dragoni's power had completely shocked those old keepers. There's no way they would willingly return to the Celestial Palace. Even if she does barge into that place and attack it, the only ones left defending it would be the other soldiers and guards at station. Queen, the elder frowned. There is one thing I have to tell you first. What's the matter? She asks with a wary face. It's about that Yin Ruoxi. The elder's face didn't look very good either. After you disappeared that day, we locked up Yin Ruoxi and made her experience all the tortures we had to offer. We also made sure to keep guard of her with several high demons at the cell, but she still managed to escape our grasp. Faintly frowning, Bai Yin also found the news worrisome. Run away? How could she have done that considering her powers? Yes, with her strength it shouldn't be possible. Even if the Celestial Palace wants to save her, those keepers shouldn't be capable without alarming us during the raid. What's more, the way that Yin Ruoxi disappeared is very odd. There's not a trace to go by, like she's just gone from the world itself. Heartache 6. Disappear from thin air? Rubbing her chin, Bai Yan's eyes began to gleam with thought. It's not possible for her to do that. Someone must have helped her somehow, and that individual must be extremely powerful. Perhaps stronger than those from the Celestial Palace. A bitter taste filled the old demon's tongue at the idea. My queen, this matter is our fault. If we had slain that Yin Ruo that day, then she never would have been able to escape to continue scourging our world. Elder, the blame is not yours to bear, she says while shaking the head. After all, you didn't know someone would try to save her. What's more, if someone that powerful is willing to move on her behalf, then you're powerless to stop them anyways. You're not their opponent. I'm just curious as to why they aren't moving more openly and remains in the shadow. The elder's heart literally skipped a beat. What you're saying is, the one who did it is a divine lord? Someone that's capable of tearing a piece of the world and making it his own? Unlike demi-divine lords who have barely scraped at the surface of what the physical law of the world has to offer, a divine lord was someone that's truly grasped onto the world. They're capable of tearing through space itself and ruling over a pocket dimension as their own. That's what it means to advance further. It should be. Bai Yin nods and confirms the idea. First Elder visibly gasped. No wonder state teacher told us not to pursue that Yun Ruashi for the time being. He likely saw this coming. But why did that person not face us in person if he's that capable? Someone that powerful shouldn't need to hide in the shadows. Nor would we be able to capture that Yun Ruashi from the very start if he came forward. None of this is making sense. I will discuss the issue with Deet Song when he wakes up again. Whoever they are, or whatever they are, they're bound to face us eventually. We must be prepared for that day when it comes. If such enemy does appear, they would be the strongest they faced thus far. I understand, nodded the elder. Queen, the little princess and prince are still here in the celestial realm. Should we go meet with them? You are right, we should go meet with them later. Ling Yan and Jean Tian must be missing me a lot. I bet they are already crying their noses out by this point. At the mention of her precious twins, Bai Yan's heart would immediately soften up. However, the second her sight glanced over Dragoni's body, the fire within would immediately burst forward again, and caused her to rage. Dragoni, come with me, we will go to the Celestial Palace and settle your debt. Okay. Dragoni obediently answers, her attitude like a good little child that could do no wrong. Your eyes. It's only then does the Demon Queen notice her goddaughter's iris. They're of a different shade carrying a spooky and fearful glint. Despite the dragoness's attempt at hiding this fact, it's too impactful. Reaching up to touch her own eyelid, Dragoni appears puzzled as well. It's been like this since I woke up again. Mother, are you going to dislike me because of this? That question held so much nervous tension that everyone could hear it. She's just too afraid of being rejected by her most precious mother, that it hurts just listening to it. That's how insecure the dragoness was inside. Heartache 7. Perhaps becoming aware of the insecurity in her daughter's heart, Bai Yan gently pulls the girl into a hug before attempting to break the shadow inside. Of course not. You are my daughter. I will never dislike you. If I really don't care, then why would I keep Xiachen then when he was born? After all, as a human being, giving birth to a talking fox was out of this world, for someone that came from Earth. But her love as a mother won out in the end. Regardless of what species in which the baby hailed from, she would love them all as much. Bai Xiachen, who heard this, immediately made a displeased and wronged face. In his mind, the boy finds himself to be very cute and adorable when he was born. Therefore it made no sense as to why his mother would even suggest the idea of abandoning himself. Dragoni, you don't need to worry, me and mother will never turn our backs on you. Giving the girl a pat on the head, he also tries to comfort her in his own way. Breaking out into a brilliant smile at the contact, she's truly relieved and found the baggage dropping off her shoulders. It's good that mother and brother Xiachen won't turn their backs on me. Within a mountain range of the celestial realm, Di Lingyan was currently having a great time playing atop of the big blue water dragon, lying in the pool of water underneath. Your injury should be about healed. In that case, Her Highness should stop providing you with her blood. Winger the guardian bird says, after finding the creature's health stabilizing. The idea to use the princess's blood to heal this blue dragon was none other than Di Lingyan herself. She's a very kind child. In front of an injured animal, she couldn't resist the urge in offering a helping hand when she had the means. Fortunately, the process didn't take much due to the prominent effects of her blood. Only a few drops here, and there was enough. That is obvious, you don't need to remind me. The blue-scaled dragon warmly retorts, its aura giving off a comfortable sensation to not only the demons around, but to the terrain as well, with its power gradually returning following the recovery. Pleased by the answer, Winger crosses his arms and leaned in against the tree next to himself. I'm curious though, who managed to bring you to this state? Is it the same people who's been hunting me, from that place? The water dragon suddenly got all silent then, seemingly trying to decide on whether on answering the question with honesty, or simply avoiding the question altogether. My enemy shouldn't be the same as yours based on my observation of your scar. As for whether or not they're from the same place, I can't be certain. Regardless, I will be leaving this place once I have fully recovered thanks to this child's blood. Don't worry, I will keep my promise to Bai Ning and form a familiar contract with her daughter. if we were to ever meet again. The water dragon made a promise to Bai Ning for helping him during his weakest. However, he never mentioned anything about staying here forever. He also has an important commitment to attend to. That's why he's going to leave. If fate permits, then the contract would be fulfilled, otherwise. I'll tell Her Highness the Queen that. Winger nodded, pleased enough to hear the commitment hasn't been forgotten. In that case, I will give you my name, chuckling at the bird's childish behavior. In all the realms, I go by only one name, Grave Blue the Water Dragon. I'm certain the mother of these two kids would eventually come to me. I can't wait to see that day, haha. Grave Blue has taken quite the liking to Di Ling Yen and the little glutton Di Jin Tian during this period. Undoubtedly, he's going to miss the little twins by leaving this place. Grandpa Water Dragon, are you leaving? Di Ling Yen leans forward from the dragon's head and peeks down at those big blue eyes and asked. Likewise, the little glutton also stopped in his act of gobbling the fruits and stared dazingly at the pool for the impending answer. Stray Dog 1. Yes, I have to leave this place. Little ones, I'm sure we'll meet again soon. There's only gentleness in the dragon's eye as he met the baby girl's gaze, tightly holding onto that head to show her sadness at the impending separation. Grandpa Water Dragon, I will miss you. Haha, Grave Blue guffawed a laugh. Help me say farewell to your grandmother Bai Ning for me. This will be our farewell. After saying this, the water dragon broke out of the pool and flew into the open sky with Di Ling Yen still sitting atop of his head, with a few circles around the air to let her enjoy the moment one last time. He descends back to the ground and gently placed his rider down before shooting back into the air. As he did so, the sky suddenly cracked and became torn like a hand had just ripped it apart. Grave Blue didn't slow down at this, rushing even faster into the void and disappearing from this world in its entirety. Where is Grandpa Water Dragon going? Looking at the direction where the dragon disappeared off to, the little glutton quietly comments, why do I feel like he's not quite the same as us? After saying that, Jin Tian felt perplexed and troubled by what he didn't know. Shaking his head, the baby prince nearly made himself dizzy by doing so. He's simply too young to understand the complexity of his own dilemma, hence his quick ability to forget the issue. Uncle Winger, Di Ling Yen continues to ask using her babyish voice since she's a lot smarter. Grandpa Water Dragon is gone. Does that mean we're going home too? I want to see Mother. Bringing her thumb up to bite the nail, the young child was all sad and aggrieved along the face. I miss Mother so much. Slightly taken aback by the suddenness of this, Winger knew he had to tread carefully on this subject. Your mother the Queen isn't around right now. She's gone somewhere very far away. Don't worry, she will be back real soon. But why doesn't Mother bring me along? Pouting in an upset manner, the girl looks up with those poor eyes. I am very good. Why did Mother bring only Big Brother and not Ling Yan? I promised not to make trouble. As long as she could stay by Bai Yan's side, then this princess would be satisfied. Princess, if your mother returns, then we will be noticed at the earliest hour. Why don't we rest for now, okay? Winger never thought that he would have such patience for a child, but in front of this pink tender cuddly ball of a loli, he had no strength to keep up his usual facade of being indifferent and unemotional. Despite the consoling words though, Di Ling Yin merely sat down beside the pool and remained silent. She may not be protesting or throwing a fit as she should in this case, but anyone with an eye could tell she's very sad and dejected. Prince, what are you doing? Winger asks after noticing the little glutton carrying a batch of red fruits over in his arms. They're very ripe and delicious looking, yet they're also too heavy for the child to carry at his tender age, which could be seen by the huffing and laboring pants. I'm saving these for Mother when she comes. They're very delicious, I'm sure Mother will like them. The corners of Winger's mouth rose, happy for how good this baby boy was. From the very beginning, he had discovered the specialness of these fruits in this mountain range. Not only are they delicious, but they're also able to increase the body's ability to absorb spirit particles in the air. It's not very useful for the average demon, but it's definitely able to help the young prince grow since he's so young. Stray Dog 2. I have a storage satchel for you. Put anything you like for the queen in there. Winger untied a small little packet from his waist and presented it before the little glutton, who eyed the item with a curious gaze. What is a storage satchel? Scratching the back of his head, the boy sounded confused. It's so small. How can it hold all the fruits I picked? It can. I'll teach you how to use it. Although Jin Tian and Ling Yan are both royalty of the demon realm, they are nonetheless not accustomed to the various things of the outside world. Like storage bags and rings, they never needed to carry things to begin with, hence their lack of requirement for one from their elders. At the same time, in some far-off corner of the celestial realm, the keepers who managed to escape Dragonis' wrath like lost dogs appeared exhausted and ragged. The girl isn't following us, we should be fine here. Keeper Zun, who's the kindest of the bunch, says after gathering his breath, his forehead showing a layer of sweat due to the long run. I wonder where she came from, and why she would have such enmity towards us. Forget about her. What should we do now? Go back to the Celestial Palace? Keeper Yellow cuts in, and spoke using that cringed-up face of his. No, we can't go back. Keeper Ling clenched his fist and yelled this out, both angry and regretful at what has come to pass. We are no longer the demon realm's match. Even if Di Tsong and Bai Yen is no longer around, the Celestial Palace is no longer safe. Imagine that. The once high and proud rulers of the Celestial Realm have been reduced to wandering the open wilderness with no place to call home. Damn that Yin Ruoxi. If it wasn't for her deceit, things wouldn't have come to this. Nor would we have done what we did to Bai Yen 1,000 years ago. How could we have been fooled so wholeheartedly? If not, why don't we go ask for peace? Another keeper weakly comments, the great calamity is upon us. I'm sure the demon realm wouldn't have enough manpower to confront it. If both of our forces joined together, perhaps we would be able to overcome this great danger. Although others also agree with the idea, but none of them dares to actually carry out this act. They are certain of the demon's ferocity, and that they would be killed on sight if went. Let's find a place to hide for now. We cannot let the demons find us. The plan of relying on Bai Yen is likely out of the question for us. Keeper Zun finally suggests, sighing hard at their own predicament. Haha, it's then a sudden low mocking crackle fell from above, alarming all those standing below, and making them freeze on the spot. Keeper Ling was the first to react and stared upwards. And that's when he saw the woman dressed in a long blue dress of seductive allure slowly stalking out of the void. She's very mysterious, but that voice couldn't be mistaken, and was all too familiar for these trembling old keepers. Stray Dog 3. You. Keeper Zun shakily points his finger at the woman that's now come out of the spatial void. You were captured by the demons. How did you get here? Even if the woman covered herself with a face veil, none here would be deceived by that thin garment. Yin Ruoxi, this woman is still alive? The demons didn't kill her? No. No way. The demons hate her so much, this can't be her. The demons? Yun Ruoxi sounded almost amused and chuckled at that, her eyes flashing the undisguised hatred she had for those beings. What of the demons? The pain they inflicted upon me will be repaid in due time. She descends from the sky, and then comes before her former protectors. How did she get out of the demon realm? What did she experience during this period? And what happened to allow her to be so pompous? These were merely a few of the questions that reverberated along these people's mind. You all must be wondering on how I got away, don't you? Smirking underneath her veil, the derisive snickering couldn't be denied. I may as well tell you fools then. A very powerful individual is now backing me. If it wasn't because the person couldn't do anything outside of the celestial realm, then the demon realm would have long been destroyed. Keeper Zun's eye are now fully fixated onto the woman's figure due to those words. More powerful than the demons? And just now, didn't she come out of a spatial void? Yin Ruoxi. Keeper Ling, who had the worst temper, suddenly exploded, losing all reason from his voice. How dare you appear before us again? If it weren't for you, we wouldn't have wronged Bai Yen, nor would we have committed so many mistakes in the past. If it weren't for you, none of this would have occurred. Even death won't absolve you of your sins. The lying witch only laughs some more at the accusation. That's only because you're too stupid to realize that on your own. Haha. I may have needed to heed your faces in order to live back then. But no more. I will never need to worry about you fools ever again. So what if Bai Yen is all heaven's owner? So what if she's better than me? I will still be the final winner, me. Yun Ruo Shi. Keeper Yellow couldn't take this anymore either, his eyes showing great pain for seeing the true face of this witch. For a millennium, we loved and cared for you with all we had. How can you say such disgusting and grotesque things to us? Do you know how much we all lost? No, the world lost because of you? They may hate this witch after learning the truth, but they truly did love her like their own child back then. There's no lie in that part. But that heartfelt outburst only made Yun Ruoshi laugh, even harder, like her stomach's about to burst. Love me? If you had known I wasn't all heaven's owner, then would you have treated me like you did? Well? We would never mistreat those of the Celestial Palace, regardless of their status or background. One of the keepers defensively cuts in. Haha. Almost hysterical in her voice now. So why did you give me up as soon as you knew I wasn't all heaven's owner then? Not one of you tried to save me that day outside the city, not one. Now you hypocrites dare to lecture me by saying your emotions are true? Which part of me is inferior to Bai Yin aside from having poorer luck than her? If I hadn't framed her about being the destroyer, then would you have removed her for me? Keeper Zun's figure visibly shook as his heart trembled. So it's you who spread that rumor? You would rather destroy this world, just to satiate your own selfish greed? All they knew was Yun Ruo she pretended to be the Crescent Moon Amulet's owner. Nothing about her spreading rumors about Bai Yen being the destroyer. They actually thought the rumor came from somewhere else entirely, and didn't connect this point. Humph, she deserved every bit of what she got. I am clearly the more sensible one in the Celestial Palace, yet you all only had an eye for her. Not only did the old coot favor her over me, that old bastard also refused to take me as his apprentice. Yet you all claim to be good to me anyways? Stray Dog 4. Even up to this point after all that has transpired, Yun Ruoshi still firmly believes she's not at fault, and that it's others who had wronged her. Without exception, the expressions of these old-timers were all very angry, yet sad at the same time towards the rebuttal. Yun Ruoshi, even now do you not understand the crime you've committed? Do you not see the price of your deceit? If your deception had not harmed the world, would we have given up on you? Keeper Zun couldn't suppress the urge, and lashed out despite his usual kind nature. For you, we not only torched Bai Yen at the altar, we also murdered those around her, and the unborn child in her belly. We did all that because of your scheme, your lie. Words can't even be used to describe the heinousness of her act. Yet she still got the nerve to say we're the ones at fault? I'm not wrong. The fault has never been with me, it's all you peoples. Showing madness in those erratic eyes, the old witch suddenly snatched the veil covering her own face and removed it, thus revealing the scarred features underneath. Do you see this? This is all done by those demons. What Bai Yen owes me can never be repaid, and I will make sure she and her kind suffer indefinitely for the damage she instilled upon me. Ignorance. Keeper Zun shakes his head in disappointment, unable to comprehend how someone could twist logic to such a state. Enough. I'm not here to discuss the fault of you fools. I'm here to make a deal. Somehow regaining the sanity back into her voice, Yun Ruoshi's tone suddenly got extremely cold and menacing. I can help you deal with those from the demon realm. However, you must submit to me and become my slaves. Outrageous. Keeper Ling lashes out in volcanic proportion, since his temper was the worst among his peers. For thousands of years, the rulers of the Celestial Palace have never submitted themselves to others, let alone to a traitor or a demon. The very idea was a slap in their face, a direct insult to their dignity. Yun Ruoshi, we will never join you now, scram. Keeper Zun also shouts this out, after having his last line crossed. He knows they aren't able to move against this woman anymore. But that doesn't mean he or his fellow keepers wanted to meet her again. You don't want to kill the demons? The witch slowly marched forward in an almost threatening manner. Don't forget what the demon realm would do if they catch any of you. Without the Celestial Lord's help, no one can oppose Deedsong the Demon King. Now I'm offering you all a way out, a way to live. Also a way to exact revenge for a little price. That does it. Keeper Ling, who's been suppressing his urge to attack, finally lost it and rushed at the witch with all his might. Instantly, he punches down at her shoulder and sent the woman flying, causing a mouthful of blood to spew forward as the consequence. Get out of here. Keeper Ling exhales deeply to gather his wits to withhold a second strike. Don't let me see you again, otherwise I won't be so merciful. This woman cheated me the worst. How dare she demand us to become her slave? Dream on. State teacher in Di Shaowan 1. Yun Ruoxi's face instantly changed for the worse after getting hit and returned to that hateful and spiteful expression. Humph, I've given you all the chance. Don't say I never offered it, since you don't want to cherish this opportunity. Snarling as she cursed at them. Also, you fools don't really believe that Bai Yen can resist the great calamity, do you? Haha, don't make me laugh. I can't wait until you all come crawling to beg for my help. Figuring her continued persuasion would be futile, she roars out another laugh of contempt before pulling herself out from the ground. She didn't bother to look back while departing, and stepped into the open spatial crack, allowing it to devour her figure, and disappearing altogether like she came. Yun Ruoxi really is ignorantly stubborn. One day she will regret her own deeds. Retracting his gaze after saying that, Keeper Zun turns back to the others once he managed to calm himself somewhat. We need to find a place and continue our training. We must prepare ourselves for the incoming danger. Even if we can't repel whatever is to come, we must do everything in our powers to fight. Let's go then, we wasted enough time here. Keeper Yellow agrees with clenched fist. He also doted that old witch in the past, so he's very much outraged at the last remark from her. Of course, there are those who couldn't get over the situation, and that would be Keeper Ling, who had the worst temper among the group. The old guy loved Yun Ruoxi the most here, and blindly believed in her stories from the very start. Hence his inability to move right now. The poor guy kept staring into the now closed void, and needed to be dragged away by his peers. Demon Realm. Under the shadow of this blood-red moonlight, the whole world seemed so lifeless and gloomy. Yet that was not the case in the castle making up the home base for these demons. Sire, you're finally awake. Asking this was none other than State Teacher, who's been watching over the Demon King's slumbering body. Where is my wife the queen and my son? Opening his eyes, Ditsong's first word wasn't about himself. Rather, it's about Bai Yen and his children. My king. The prince and queen disappeared while they were in the celestial realm. That means they will reappear over on that side as well. State Teacher replies in a humble manner, his mouth showing that perennial gentle smile of a fairy. Brother. Exactly then, while Ditsong was still organizing the information he's given, a reckless figure suddenly barged into the hall and broke the stale air. She's very youthful and beautiful. Yet the rash behavior told everyone there's much tempering to be had for this gorgeous flower. Brother, you're finally back. Guess what? I remember everything from way back. I also got my powers back too, and won't be a drag on you anymore. Despite the commotion, Ditsong simply ignored the silly sister of his and continued to speak. State Teacher, go make an announcement to everyone. My wife, 2 sons and daughter will be returning in short order. State Teacher in Di Shaowan 2. Princes and princess? Does that mean I have another nephew and niece? Isn't that wonderful? Di Shaowan got an excited look in her eyes then, due to all the possibilities of what this news might bring. Nearly screaming out her joy. The girl only managed to stop herself, due to knowing how irate Ditsong would become. Yes, as you wish, sire. State Teacher dutifully arches his fist and complied by heading for the exit. Seeing this, Di Shaowan the sweet Dumbaklutz didn't hesitate and quickly followed from the rear. State Teacher, wait for me. Even though the fairy-like man remains anxious to do the task assigned to him, he's nevertheless slowed down his pace to allow the princess time to move. He's always been patient with this girl, always tender in his smile, and always willingly to do anything that she pleases, no matter the situation or era. Naturally oblivious to the love shown to herself, the sweet Dumbaklutz starts going off with her mouth using her happy-go-lucky style once they were outside. State Teacher, is my new niece as cute and good-looking as my sister-in-law? No matter though. I'm sure she had inherited all the good points, and will be a great beauty regardless. Knowing my big bro, he will break anyone's leg if they go after my niece. Kiki, there is going to be a lot of fun things to see in the future. Princess, sometimes the king won't be able to oversee that many things. The king is indeed strict, but he's partial to the queen and will always do as she says. If the little princess does fall in love with a man, the queen will definitely side with her. By then not even the king can say no. Against that remark, Di Xiaowan also agrees and nodded repeatedly. You are right. The demon realm is so big. There's no way my big bro can watch over everyone. Besides, the real one in charge is sister-in-law. He can't get a say. Aren't you worried of your brother hearing this? The guy rubs his temple in a helpless manner, due to the level of courage this princess had towards her own older brother. Huffing a rebellious grunt at the question. There is sister-in-law on my side. I am afraid of nothing. But the queen is not in the demon realm right now. As soon as this fact fell down, so did the smile from the princess's mouth. It's frozen, just like the courage in which propelled those words coming from Di Xiaowan's mouth mere seconds ago. Swiftly ducking her head in fear, the girl turns around slightly in search of any signs of danger. When none was found, a sign of relief came through, but the timid nature never receded in her appearance. Smiling along the eyes at the silly behavior, state teacher couldn't keep it up and chuckled slightly. I was only teasing. You don't have to be so afraid of the king. I alone am enough to protect you. Puckering her lips into an unhappy fashion. How are you supposed to protect me when you also need to listen to my brother? I only need sister-in-law's protection. As long as I cling onto her leg, then I am safe. I don't need to fear anyone. Princess, suddenly getting all serious in the face. I said I can protect you. That's always true no matter the situation. Even if I can't, I will resist and shield any danger that might come your way. That abrupt proclamation actually made the demon princess thump excitedly in the heart. Looking up with those big beautiful eyes, she felt a surge of heat taking hold of those cheeks, once she saw how serious the man was before herself. It's making her all fluttery inside and she didn't know why. State teacher and Di Xiaowan 3. Princess, no matter what happens in the future, I will always be your shield. Know that you can depend on me. I will always be there when you need me the most. That said, state teacher presses forward a few steps to corner the girl against a wall, his eyes full of desire and strength. With this girl's IQ, I must be more direct, otherwise she will never understand my feelings. What if some other guy comes around and snatches her away? I crushed on her for a millennium. I won't let some nobody come around and snatch her away while under my watch. Stumbling backwards at the close contact, Di Xiaowan found it difficult to meet that gentle face. In her desperation, she actually turned tail and ran away without actually uttering a single word. It's embarrassing and humiliating for someone like her, who has always done as she pleases. Towards this outcome, state teacher could only make a helpless smile. Looks like I scared her with this push. After escaping from the main hall, Di Xiaowan didn't stop running until she's completely out of breath and red in the face. She's at a total loss and it's making her frantic. This is strange, what's wrong with me? Wiping some of the sweat off the forehead, a bewildered light filled her eyes. Did he just make a move on me? No way, that's impossible. We are so close. How can he have that sort of feeling towards me? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, it's so hot out here. I need to find a cooler place to get myself together. Yes, it must be too hot out here. Otherwise, why else would I sweat so much? State teacher is like an older brother. An older brother. How can an older brother like their little sister? Shaking her head to throw away the confusing thoughts, Di Xiaowan immediately went back to her own quarters to rest. However, that rest didn't last too long once she got wind of Ditsong's departure. The demon princess has never been one to stay still. The moment she felt bored and was rearing to go make trouble again was when she left the palace. Eventually, the demon princess had found herself standing atop of a mountain peak and staring up into the blood-red moon, trying to think about life. Yuwu. It's then a weak murmuring cry reached over, catching the girl's attention. It didn't take much searching for Di Xiaowan to locate the source in this case. She's a fox after all. Hiding behind some tall flowers and grasses was a weakened fox that's been stained with blood. And since she herself was also a member of the fox clan, there's no way this sweet dumpklutz could turn a blind eye to this scene. Crouching down, she pulls out a bottle and swiftly poured the medicine onto the fox's injured belly. This is something my sister-in-law gave me. Since we're the same kind, I will help you this one time. By the way, which family are you from? How come I never seen you before? State teacher and Di Xiaowan 4. Di Xiaowan originally planned to only give a helping hand before letting the fox go. However, the unsteady way it moved after taking the medicine only reaffirmed her kind heart. She just couldn't leave the little guy alone when she knows he wouldn't be able to make it on his own in that state. Fine, just this once since he's also a fox. Without further thought, she quickly leaned down and picked up the little guy to head home. She's got no more business around this area and wanted to find something else to do. Yet her luck wasn't going to play along. Right as she's heading back to her own quarters in the main path, she accidentally bumped into State Teacher, who was also heading over to another spot for business. Princess. Behind came the familiar gentle voice, which made the girl all stiff and rigid in the back, due to the awkwardness of the encounter. You need something of me, State Teacher? Not missing the timid note in her voice, the man walks up without any hesitation. Are you hiding from me? I. Flickering her eyes left and right to avoid contact, Di Xiaowan didn't dare speak the truth. I did not. You don't have to hide from me. I just don't want to continue looking at your back all the time. If you accept my feelings, then I will ask the king for your marriage, but if you disagree, I will still continue to protect you for the rest of my life. That. She bites her lip. Can you let me think about it? I'll wait for you. Undeterred and not let down, the man who has always held up a fairy-like image wanted to shove a little harder by getting closer when he saw the fox in the girl's hand. Getting a sinking feeling. This fox is. I found him on a hill outside the palace. He's hurt and I don't believe he has any powers yet. I brought him home so he can recuperate in a better environment. Can you give him to me? State Teacher fixes his sight on the little critter. I'll take care of this fox for you. Di Xiaowan did not think much of the idea and easily threw the patient over. She's never been much of a thinker, so whatever underlying meaning there was remains a mystery to her. I don't have much experience in caring for others, so I'll leave him in your care. After saying this, she immediately hightailed it out of there, due to not being able to confront this man whom she considered better than an older brother. Watching that disappearing back, State Teacher only shook his head for the 10th time today. Smiling bitterly at his own pitiful self, the guy then shifts his attention back onto the white fox. The demon princess may not realize this, but he does. This creature wasn't of the demon realm. The danger it posed remains unknown, but there's no way he would allow such threat to remain by the girl's side. In the meantime, he would be the one to care for him until they figured out the origin of this fox. As if to confirm his suspicion, the white fox suddenly whimpered somewhat after realizing he's been left behind by the princess. It's strange in the way it stared at Di Xiaowan's back. Towards this behavior, State Teacher didn't miss it one bit and flashed a cold glint in his eyes. It's almost terrifying compared to his usual gentle face shown to everyone. Jealousy 1. The following day, early in the morning light, Di Xiaowan had been pacing around outside State Teacher's residence when she eventually gritted her teeth and headed inside. State Teacher, I thought about yesterday's conversation. I think we're still too early and need some more time. But before her last part of the sentence could be said, she stopped and gawked at the wonderful-looking woman standing outside State Teacher's room. This woman had silky long hair of snow-white color, a weak and frail face like she would waver at the slightest breeze, a true plaything in the eyes of men. Out of instinct, the demon princess started to subconsciously clench her fist. She didn't know why either, but there's an indescribable emotion of anger, disappointment, and a jealous sourness in which she herself never realizes it. Greetings to you, princess. The woman wasted no time in arching her back once she realizes who has arrived. Extremely ugly in her face, Di Xiaowan blurted out the first thing that came to mind. You slept in state teacher's room last night? Yes. The woman who could be a model smiled warmly in her polite answering. A perfect image of a wife securing her place. Di Xiaowan's lip pursed into a thin line at that news. Going into a blank state, she wanted to run away only to hit a fleshly wall as she did so. If not for that powerful hand reaching out to keep her from falling, the princess would have long hit the ground. Princess, why are you leaving as soon as you're here? Did you not say you will give me an answer? Have you made up your mind yet? State teacher never once looked at the model woman up ahead, his gaze forever locked onto the sweet Dumbaklutz, who's all pitiful looking right now. Huffing a displeased grunt. You still have the nerve to ask me of that? I thought you really liked me because of all the females you rejected in the past. But to think you are already holding another woman in your home. Now you still want me to marry you? It's likely not even the girl herself would notice this. But the way she spoke was like a girlfriend discovering their boyfriend cheating on them. That's the sort of tone she used there. Showing a frown in his face. Princess, what do you mean by that? You slept with this woman, and you asked me what I mean? Di Xiaowan viciously snaps out, her foot stomping down at his to show force. I'm telling you, I will not be degraded into sharing a husband with someone else. She's the princess of the demon realm. Never would her pride or personality allow such an outcome. Making a gawking face like he's eaten a rotten apple. State teacher instantly realizes the reason, and turned to the snow-white woman in question. Yesterday you slept in my room? Who allowed you into my room? Lowering her head immediately, she replies in timid tone. Milord, I didn't know it was your room. I asked my servants to arrange accommodation for you. Why did you not rest in the assigned room? Kneeling now in horror, that soft charming face of the snowy white lady showed panic and franticness. I really didn't know, milord. I would never think of doing anything outside of your wishes, or the princess's, after she rescued me yesterday. After being assigned the room, I did exactly as told and slept in there for a while, but found it far too cold to sleep comfortably. That's why I went into another room. I really didn't know it was your room, milord. Jealousy too. This finally made the princess disperse her anger, due to the situation clearing up. She's mistaken the guy in front of herself, and realizes the lady behind herself was in fact the very fox she saved yesterday. So it was you. Puckering her lips to one side, Di Xiaowan could understand why this lady would behave in such a fashion, since she's not of the demon realm. However, the pitiful image she portrayed still made her unhappy. In contrast, she prefers her sister-in-law's character, who doesn't always act frail like a white flower. Princess, I didn't stay in the manor yesterday. Pressing his hand onto Di Xiaowan's shoulder, state teachers firmly makes his case, so she doesn't get the wrong idea. But, just now did my stomp hurt you? The demon princess asks, her eyes showing regret over her own rashness. Shaking his head. It was my fault in causing your misunderstanding. You do what you think is right. There's no need for an apology. Why would you say that? There's a confused light in the girl's eye over this. I did not arrange everything properly. That's why you got me wrong. You saw her coming out of my room. That's also my fault for not being more attentive. Caressing the sweet Dumbaklut's hair like a lover trying to console his sweetheart. In my eyes, everything that you do is right. This includes your mischievous nature. I also like that about you. A little hurt by you only warms my heart. Flushing red like an apple, Di Xiaowan promptly took a step back to keep herself from showing that beating heart. She's almost losing herself due to the swelling emotions due to that heartfelt confession. State teacher, why are you so nice to me? For all these years, regardless of what she did, this man would always shelter her and clean up any trouble she made along the way. If in the past she resisted his approach due to not knowing his love for herself, then right now Di Xiao, one could say she's no longer of the same emotion, and could somewhat accept the possibility of being his wife. Pushing forward since he could see there's an effect to his words. Because there is only one of you, only one Di Xiaowan. If I'm not good to you, then who else am I supposed to be good to? Before I was too stringent, causing myself to painfully love you from behind in secret. Now I don't intend to hide my emotions anymore. Xiao Wan, when your brother the king returns, I will ask him to marry you to me. Is that all right? Skipping a beat at the marriage proposal, the demon princess could literally sense the butterflies tingle from within. I haven't promised you yet. Xiao Wan, you like your nephew Prince Xiachen a lot, right? Children at that age are the cutest. We can also have one of our own. At that point your son can stick to you day in and day out. Really? Looking surprised in the eye, the girl swiftly got all excited in the face with hopeful light. Okay. I also want a child like Xiachen who is obedient and good. Unbeknown to this sweet Dumbaklutz, her personality and gene would never be able to produce a child like the steam bun. Unfortunately, by the time she realizes this point and the deception by state teacher, her own child had already been born and became a bratty troublemaker that likes to pick on her instead of helping her. Jealousy 3. Caressing her chin in happy thought. Out of consideration for the child's sake, I will temporarily agree with you. But if you dare take a concubine or sort, I will definitely break your leg. Di Xiaowan then waves her fist at him in a threatening manner to act all ferocious. However, it only made her all the cuter in the man's eye. Xiaowan, when have you ever seen Mu touch another woman? Unintimidated, state teacher happily clasped the girl's fist and causes her to go silent. It's as the man says, he's been alone for many years, never once touching another female in all the long years he's crushed on her. If I can do it before then, I can continue to do so all the way into the future. My eyes only have you. He reaffirms his stance by using that serious face. The demon princess openly giggled at that confession. Then I believe you. Seeing Di Xiaowan finally accepting his advances, state teacher's mood flew into an elated clarity, his face smiling like the spring breeze on a warm summer's day. However, not everything was as nice as it seems on the surface. Unlike the pair who had just accepted each other, the model lady behind them had started to make a very jealous gaze in which she hid by lowering her head. The Celestial Palace. Inside the courtyard of this once great structure, countless occupants are currently shivering in fear, while kneeling on the ground before Bai Yan's might. Where are the keepers? She asks with narrowed eye, her voice condensing into a sharp blade that held them at the neck. The lady's aura was simply too immense right now, crushing and sending fear into these defenders, who had lost all will to resist. To be fair, they are not cowards. If it meant fighting or being mocked as such, they would surely pick death over mockery. However, the keepers have already announced to the world that Bai Yan's the true owner of all heaven. Without her, there wouldn't be any hope for the celestial realm during the impending calamity. Your Highness, we really don't know where the keepers have gone. After they left that day, none of them returned. Don't know. Bai Yan sneered in a sarcastic tone. So they are turning into cowards and refusing to show their faces? They hurt so many of my family. Do they really believe they can escape my wrath? So what if those old fools regret their actions? The crimes they committed on me and my family is unforgivable. Please, we really didn't know anything about what happened in the past, nor do we have any involvement in the event. Please spare us, we don't know anything. I will leave what happened 1,000 years ago aside for now. I can't remember all of the details either. Nevertheless, that doesn't absolve any of you the sins they committed. Over the millennium, how many demons and demonic creatures have you murdered in the meantime? As their queen, I have to avenge. The backs of these shivering defenders curled even lower, trying hard to hide their own existence in front of those words. I'll give you half a month to find them out for me. And if they don't come out after half a month, I'll destroy your celestial palace. Jealousy 4. Roughly sweeping her sleeve to dismiss these hostages, Bai Yan turns back to First Elder who's standing in the rear. First Elder, we will stay and rest somewhere in the vicinity for the time being. I like to see how long those people can endure before they lose patience. Even if she needs to force them, she would shove them out of hiding. As you wish, the elder nodded. I will go arrange everything. Should I go inform the king then? Go ahead and message Deetsong. I won't be returning to the demon realm for the time being. I want to wait for them to fall into the net I set. It's fact that Bai Yin doesn't remember all the details of what transpired in her previous life. But that doesn't mean she couldn't imagine the level of carnage and death caused by these people standing at the peak of the celestial realm. It must have been a bloodbath for those demons left behind in this place. So what if they did it for the sake of the humans here? It doesn't absolve anything. Mother! Bai Shachen tightly grasped onto the woman's hand, his lip forming a thin line. When are we going to pick up Ling Yin and Jin Tian? I miss them. Ah, how about this, Xiachen? We can go pick up your siblings with Dragoni right now since there's some free time. First Elder, I'm leaving you in charge while I'm not around. Yes, Queen. The Elder respectfully arches his fist in compliance. Let's go. Holding her son and daughter's hand, Bai Yin disappears into the far-off distance using her newfound powers. At the same time, First Elder also whisks his sleeve to leave, leaving only the defenders who are all nervously kneeling there in wait. Their backs had already been drenched in sweat. Only now do they gasp in relief at being spared. Those plagues are finally gone. But what are we going to do if the keepers don't return in half a month? We shouldn't have attacked those demons before if we had known the demon realm would recover this quickly. One of the defender comments after regaining his nerve. What are you spouting? If it wasn't for the Celestial Lord stopping us from attacking the demon realm back then, we would have destroyed the demons as a whole. The reason we are in this state is because of the Lord to begin with. A younger man who had a bit more gal objected, his face showing indignation at being forced to beg. Humanity is stronger than those monsters. Why should we be humble to an inferior race? But that thought didn't last very long for the poor guy. In the next second after an older defender jabbed him in the waist, his eyes gawked and he started to stutter. Celestial Lord. Why did the Celestial Lord suddenly return? Standing at the front entrance was none other than Chewy God. Like always, he's glisteningly pure with his long white hair fluttering in the wind. Match that with his emotionless temperament. He's the embodiment of a snowy blizzard. I've only been away for a while yet you bunch dare to spread rumors? The blizzardly man casts a glance at the young defender, who's openly shuddering at the added attention. Keeper Zun's decision 1. Lo Lord we. The youngster's face went deathly pale at the remark which was obviously directed at himself. Have Keeper Zun and them come see me. Chewy God orders, not once giving the people here any more attention than he has to. That immediately brought the whole crowd into an awkward silence of embarrassment, due not being able to comply. They already mentioned they didn't know to Bai Yin. Now it only emphasized their inability when their own lord was asking the same question. It's shameful. Lord, we really don't know where the keepers are right now. Still indifferent and icy cold in his expression. Then I will be here waiting for them. The keepers will eventually have to return one day. Also, do not let my whereabout be known to the public. I do not wish to be found. Once he's done giving this order, the man began to walk inside in an almost ghostly manner. He didn't make a single noise in his steps, and literally became a blur, due to how much distance he covered with every stride of those legs. Within the mountains, a reddish figure had just arrived on scene with her 2 children in tow. The place First Elder indicted should be here somewhere. Halting in her flight, Bai Yin scans the surrounding mountain peaks before locking onto the sound of laughter somewhere up ahead. I found it. Come, let's go pick up Jin Tian and Ling Yin. Meanwhile, at the same time not far away at the edge of a small pool of water, Ling Yin had been holding her tummy and laughing away, due to her own brother's effort of acting silly and cute before herself. She's been depressed after the water dragon left, and only got her mood back a while ago. Then out of nowhere, the lass's laughter ceased, replaced entirely by the look of surprise along that face, once she noticed the new arrivals in the sky. Not waiting for the little glutton to react to his sister's odd behavior, Ling Yin promptly got up from the ground and threw herself at the woman, who has now landed by their side. The baby didn't hesitate to wrap those small little arms around the lady's leg to gain a sense of comfort, due to being all lonely inside. Wah! After 3 seconds of silence, That's how long the little demon princess could endure before breaking out into a tearful cry of grievance. Ling Yan, mother is back, so don't cry. Wrapping her hands around the crying baby girl, Bai Yan happily lifts her up to soothe that mood by patting her back and making a lolling sound. She knows her disappearance for so many days has affected her daughter, so the demon queen felt a strong level of regret and guilt for being a poor mother. Mother. The little glutton finally caught up with reality and toddled over as well. But unlike his twin sister, the baby boy didn't have such a big mood swing, so he didn't cry and only smiled at who has come. Keeper Zun's decision too. Mother, I took good care of my sister during your absence. I also told her many jokes and happy things. Looking up after clinging onto the woman's thigh, the little glutton appeared all hopeful in the face like he's looking for a praise. Jin Tian is awesome. Bai Yan praises him, roughing up his hair as compliment. Of course Ling Yan is also awesome. The both of you are my pride. Every child of hers was her pride, so she's not just saying it for fun. Mother. Ling Yan puckers her lips, those eyes still rolling with tears. Do you not want me anymore? Why did you leave me at this place? Oh well, you must have found another baby fox outside. That's why you don't want Ling Yan anymore. Bai Yan's forehead inevitably twitched at that comment. She's got an aching suspicion that the sentence sounded familiar, as if someone already said it before. Subconsciously, the lady sneaks a glance over to the steam bun who's next to herself. Thankfully Bai Xiachen had his attention fully fixated on that little sister of his right now. Otherwise he might just be able to pick up on the weird look he's getting. Don't cry, Ling Yan. Mother did not abandon you, we only had something to do. Aren't we back now? We're here to pick you and Jin Tian up. Bai Xiachen says, moving his hand to wipe off the peachy baby's tear whom he cherished as the greatest treasure. Not looking so sad anymore after hearing Big Brother's consoling words, the baby princess faces her own mother for confirmation. Really? Mother is here to bring me and second brother home? You're not leaving us again? It's the first time this baby girl's been away from her mother for so long. A child needs their parent around, especially at such a young age. Of course it's true. Bai Xiachen continues to soothe his little sister, using that extremely gentle voice. On the other hand, the little glutton's been staring up at his family hoping for some attention as well. When he discovered there's none to be had, the chubby little baby boy immediately broke out into a crying fit to get that. Startled by the outburst of tears, the steam bun furrows his nose and asked, "What are you crying about?" "I also miss Mother and Big Brother. I also want Big Brother to hug me." Bai Xiachen's expression got very serious then. "Have you forgotten what I taught you before? Men do not cry easy. As a man, how can you cry so easily?" Taken aback by the lecture, the little glutton only then remembers the lesson. Okay, I won't cry anymore. Softening up after seeing how aggrieved and pitiful his little brother remains on the surface, Bai Xiachen moves forward to give him a hug anyways. Jin Tian, you will be the king of the demon realm one day. You can't act so weak. But you did well in taking care of your sister while we were away, so this is your reward. Giggling in happy note after getting the praise he wanted, Jin Tian hurriedly wipes his tears away. I am a man. I won't cry. I will protect Mother and Ling Yan. Now that's a good man of our demon realm. Patting his little brother's head as a praise again, after hearing what he wanted. I'm looking forward to your success. I will also tell Father to pass the throne to you as soon as possible. Really? Jin Tian's eyes shined with light, forming a crescent shape to emphasize his own cuteness and desire for that position. He couldn't wait for that day, and started to suckle his own finger, like a little glutton that he was. However, the deception told to him about being able to eat as much food as he pleases once he's king remains a lie. By the time the poor boy realizes this pit set up by his own family, it's already too late, and he's working his butt off day in and day out, starving himself thin compared to this lovely childhood he enjoys today. Jin Tian, Ling Yan, I want to introduce you to someone. Bai Yan went ahead to bring Dragoni over to her side for the introduction. This is your older sister, her name is Dragoni. Keeper Zun's Decision 3. Dragoni nervously rubbed her little hand as she took in the two adorable babies. On several times already, she wanted to pinch their lovely face due to how cute they were. The only reason she hasn't was due to fear of breaking them like a toy doll. That's how delicate those two are in her eye. Hello, Sister Dragoni. Di Lingyan politely greets the girl, her little face bright with smile. On the other hand, Jin Tian only had a dull look as he surveyed the older girl before turning back to Bai Yin with a question. Mother, how come big sister's name is not the same as ours? And why is she so pretty? Although the appearance of the young dragoness couldn't be compared to Bai Yan's scale, she's nevertheless starting to shine in her own way after growing older during this period. Mother, Dragoni urgently spoke. Can I touch them? They're so cute. Will I accidentally break them if I do? Black lines instantly filled Bai Yan's face. They are not dolls, how you break them? Feel free to touch your own siblings, they will be alright. Okay. Dragoni instantly breaks into a huge smile, carefully extending her hand to first caress the baby girl's cheek. I touched it. At contact, she froze into a stiff iceberg as her heart raced with incredible excitement. In the past, the dragoness also had her own family, an older sister as well. However, that family could never be considered a family. Forget about being close. They wouldn't even let Dragoni get close, let alone have any physical contact. And now she finally has a little and adorable sister. Unfazed by the cold finger touching her own cheek, Di Lingyan only stared up at the girl with her own curious gaze. This big sister is so strange. She clearly wants to give me a hug. Why is she not doing so? I want a hug. Afterwards, Dragoni continues with her gesture and gave the little glutton a rub on the head as well. This time around, the dragoness became even more excited, bordering on the line of melting away due to her own joy. Sister Dragoni, can you give me a hug? Di Lingyan finally couldn't stand it anymore and suggested this. She's biting her own thumb in hope of getting her wish. Okay. Dragoni sounded flustered at first but quickly came back to herself. Crouching down, she plucks the peachy girl up into her arms and drew a burst of giggle from Di Lingyan as they snuggled their cheeks against one another. To one side where Winger's been standing the entire time appeared proud as he silently watched this scene. He also picked up on the desire from the dragoness and saw how easily the baby princess was able to lock onto that emotion as well. As expected of the queen's daughter, she's already showing such a huge heart despite being so young. Such a sensible and intelligent girl. How can Yun Ruoshi ever think about hurting her in the first place? It's getting late, let's leave now. Scanning her 4 children, Bai Yin felt so pleased to have such a big family. Xiachen, you are in charge from now on if I'm not around, can you do that? Of course, mother, you count on me. Puffing up his chest, the steam bun proudly answers the call. Pleased by her eldest son's reply, Bai Yin went ahead to reach out with her hand to hold on to Dragoni and his for departure. That leaves only the little glutton who's not being led yet. Jin Tian, you keep up okay? Keeper Zun's Decision 4. The little glutton nodded heavily and without complaint as he toddled from behind. The boy couldn't walk as fast as his older brother, so he had to pace himself hard in order to keep up. Even so, Jin Tian's not unhappy. After all, he's a man of the family, right? A man must protect the females of the group, and he's going to be king someday. On the other end of Celestial Realm, inside a cave, several old elders are sitting around a campfire. Their mood damp and dreary due to the heavy air hovering above their heads. I'm sure all of you have already heard of what's happening out there. Bai Yin wants to force us out. Otherwise she won't let those remaining in the Celestial Palace free. Have we really come to the end of the road? Keeper Yellow cocks a self-mocking smirk, his eyes full of sorrow. Those of them who were once high at the top has now been reduced to rats scurrying around in the caves. How could he not be sad? If not, how about we seek Yun Ruoshi? The one suggesting that never got to finish his words though, because Keeper Ling, who's the grumpiest of the bunch, promptly cut him off with a punch against the cave wall. Shut up! Did you forget she's the one that placed us in this state? I will never forgive her. Never forgive what she did to us and everyone else. The higher the hope, the stronger the disappointment. He gave far too much love to the old witch and sacrificed far too much to protect that deceitful woman. And for what? Nothing but betrayal and deception in the end. How could this grumpy keeper ever forgive such an existence? The half-month deadline is soon upon us. We've worked so hard for what? It's for the celestial realm. Even if the ending is death, I must meet with Bai Yin again. Keeper Zun, who's the kindest of the bunch, stood up, his fist a tight clench, as he inhaled deeply to ready himself. Keeper Zun, do you believe she will really forgive us after all we've done to her? Keeper Yellow smiled helplessly. Before they would dare bargain with the demon realm, because they had the supposed master of the amulet on their side, the group believed Bai Yin and Ditsong would agree to their terms for the sake of the demon realm's safety. But right now, without that bargaining chip, what qualification do they have left to barter? It doesn't matter, I'm going to try anyways. I and Keeper Ling will handle this matter in person. The rest of you wait here. Keeper Zun's eye grew firm and strong after saying that. Keeper Yellow appeared taken aback by the proclamation, hurrying to speak. You're serious about this? I still believe we should retain our strength for the impending battle. No, we can't wait until that day comes, the risk is far too high. If I and Keeper Ling's life can be used to persuade Bai Yin in saving this world, then our death would be more than worth it. Then under the watchful eye of others, he strode out of the cave like a brave soldier meeting his maker. Keeper Ling didn't cower away either. Without looking back, this grumpy elder who's known to have an attitude followed suit. What do you all think? Will Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun be able to change Bai Yan's mind and drop her hatred? The one who suggested to turn to Yun Ruoshi before spoke again. Keeper Yellow, the de facto leader remaining, sank in his eyes at the idea. They have both made the decision to die if they must in their venture. There's no telling what will happen. I do know Keeper Ling must be there if there's any chance for this plan to work. It was he who killed Bai Yin, and it was he who killed the unborn baby in her belly. If Keeper Ling dies, then maybe the hatred could be lifted. As to why Keeper Zun also went, I'm sure you know the temperament of Keeper Ling. Someone must be there to help douse the flame somehow during the talk. Negotiation 1. Inside an inn that's located not far from where the Celestial Palace was located, Bai Yin lies comfortably atop of a soft, comfy bed, as she snuggled with the small meat bun in her blossom. Jin Tian very much enjoyed this intimate moment with his mother, of course, but as he blinked and blinked due to the comfortable massage he's getting, his tummy just had to give in to his hunger, and began to growl again and again. This causes his small happy face to pucker into a grieving frown. You're hungry already? Bai Yin asks with a tenderly smile after hearing the noise, biting his thumb as he nodded. Mother, I am hungry. Go ahead and ask your big brother to take you then. Mother here has something to do while you eat. Loosening her hand around the young baby, Bai Yin didn't find it disappointing to lose her soft marshmallow. In return for the freedom, the little glutton did what any child would do and happily smooched the mother on her cheek, thus smothering the face with his saliva. He's too excited at the prospect of being able to eat all those delicious delicacies. Mother, I'll go find Big Brother then. After you're done, come back and be my hug pillow. This little guy's soft body feels so good. Now that Xiachen is older, it's only normal for him to be the replacement for Bai Yan's huggies. The premise is that Ditsong's not around, of course. And sure enough, Jin Tian didn't disappoint. Even before he left, the way he toddled out of the room was absolutely adorable. In the rolling strides he did, similar to a baby polar bear. For a moment, Bai Yin wondered if he's really a fox or not. Foxes don't eat as much as he does and isn't as silly. Suddenly, two familiar energy signatures started to draw near, causing the lady in the room to spartan up in the face. Come in. Bang. With a gush of wind blowing the door open, two old seniors appeared before the host. In light of the intrusion, Bai Yin remains lazy, looking on the bed like she didn't have a care in the world. On the other hand, Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun was less assured despite being the outsider. They were dazzled by how incredibly stunning this woman has become after her return. Whether it be the air of temperament, this demon queen has changed and became more magnificent than ever before. If only we didn't do what we did back then. Perhaps. Bai Yin would already be the Lord's wife. Bai Yin, I heard you're looking for me. Speaking first was Keeper Ling. However, his mouth didn't get to run further than this due to his counterpart shooting him an eyeful to be quiet. Everyone knows how rude the grumpy elder could get, so Keeper Zun wanted to shut that down before they start the negotiation. Supporting her head with a hand, Bai Yin coldly smirks at the pair before starting. It seems there is quite a few missing among you. Why did they not come out? Changing in his face, Keeper Zun inhaled deeply in order to suppress the inner panic. Your Highness, we are here to talk. Without indication, Bai Yin bursts into a derisive laugh. Talk? Have you mistaken something about me? I came back to get revenge, not to talk. Keeper Zun's heart clenched into a mass of unease. Your Highness, I know you will not let us go. That is why we are here to offer our heads. I only hope that once we die, you will forgive the past and protect the celestial realm. Hearing this, Bai Yin finally pulled herself up from the soft comfy bed and confronted the two keepers. First, my enemies are not just with you two. 1,000 years ago, many of you colluded together to murder me and those close to me. What makes you think I will let those people go? Secondly, I can promise to not do anything to the rest of the celestial realm. But, you want me to protect them? On what grounds should I do that? Negotiation. 2. In simpler terms, she's only promised not to attack those from the celestial realm. Never did she say those demons wouldn't do anything as retaliation on their own. The debt has been piling up for a millennium. There's no way blood wouldn't be shed once things start rolling. After all, a simple word of forgiveness could never atone for a sin. That would be the equivalent of murder, and getting off scot-free after a slap on the wrist. Keeper Zun's mouth stammered for a proper response. He thought of countless possibilities before coming, but he never thought Bai Yin would directly refuse their request so quickly. Your Highness, the ones who did wrong is us. The rest of the celestial realm is innocent. Smile sarcastically. Innocent? If they're innocent, then what about those demons and demonic beasts? So just because they're different that they deserve to die at those so-called innocent hands? That brought Keeper Zun to a stall, unable to counteract that argument. In his mind, those animals have always been there for them to kill, to use, a resource to be tapped when needed. How could he find a proper argument in defending their stance, without offending this lady first? Bai Yin. Keeper Ling, who's the grumpy one, could tell his counterpart has lost the ability to negotiate. Glaring at the lady as he spoke. I know you hate us to the bone. Tell us what you want then. We only ask you protect the celestial realm afterwards. Squinting her eyes into a narrow slit, Bai Yin glared at the old man in reply. I want Azure Dragon and White Tiger to have never needed to die and reincarnate. I also want my husband to not have needed to be in coma, because he used his soul to reform my own. I also want my grandfather from the Celestial Palace to have never lost his sanity. The more she went over the past, the more her hands were clenching into a deathly grip. I'd rather not have had to die and experience the pain of life and death. Can you do all of that? If you can change all that, then I'll help the celestial realm. Even though she's found White Tiger and Azure Dragon again in this life, it still doesn't change the fact that they died, and has been reincarnated into a new. Then there's also her unborn child from the previous life. That fetus bore so much resentment that it permeated into this era, such emotion and pain. How could she as a mother not demand justice? Bai Yin, you really can't shelter the lives of Celestial Realm, after me, and Keeper Zun offer our lives? Keeper Ling asks again, his voice full of stubbornness. Smirking in her face, Bai Yin only had one word for this grumpy old bone. No. Then pausing to take a look around like she's trying to make a point. And look around. Does it appear I wouldn't be able to take your lives on my own? Locating your whereabouts was just a matter of time. Why should I make a deal when it's something within my own reach? This demon queen has never been one to shelter her enemies. Never in the past and never in the present. Of course, the celestial realm won't disappear. I have no intention of destroying this place. There are plenty of humans from the human world who will eventually ascend into immortality. At that point, both demons and celestials will coexist without grudge. The only difference would be you people being gone. Her family and friends from the human world are the most likely candidates to achieve ascension. By that time she would make this realm suitable and welcoming to all. There won't be such a thing as evil and good based on race, only personal deeds that dictating one's future. Negotiation. 3. Keeper Ling's hand began to tighten into a tense ball after losing his patience. In that case there is nothing more to talk about between us. To think you're such a cold-hearted person who would sacrifice so many innocent lives just for your own desire. It's true that many in the celestial realm harmed her, but there are also countless more who did nothing at all. Nothing. How did her heart become so cold and hard? Bai Yen sneered even harder at the reprimand. No matter how cold and hard my heart becomes, it's nothing compared to the likes of you. That's why even if you die, it won't erase anything. Seeing the grumpy Ling was about to lash out now, Keeper Zun, who's been quiet, immediately tugged at his counterpart to stop. Turning back to the demon queen, this kind elder sighs as he spoke. Bai Yen, back when you were with us in the celestial realm, we really did look at you with our sincerity. Unfortunately, fate likes to toy with those living. We too never thought fate would pan out that way and cause so much hurt towards you. But even if we regret it now, it's already too late. Making a bittersweet smile at the thought. I know you won't forgive us, and that's within your right and reason, we know that. We only hope you can let us die with dignity. Stepping back to her bed to take a seat, Bai Yen didn't appear fazed by the determination shown by the two elders, and instead sneered some more. All right, you can do that. I do not want to ever see the existence of the Celestial Palace again. The Celestial Palace is bound to topple, just a matter of when and who does it. Trembling in his hand for the inevitable, Keeper Zun slowly closes those eyes for one last time, and smashed down at his own head after gathering energy. Boom! He did not hold back at all from the strike, smashing heavily into the floorboard, and leaving him lifeless and dead. Bai Yen didn't get moved though by this sheer will of conviction, nay. Instead she turned to face Keeper Ling, who didn't move yet. Shivering at what has come to pass for his counterpart, the grumpy elder spoke apprehensively. Bai Yen, you really can't help the celestial realm? No, she bluntly answers him, and refuses to waste more words. That finally did it. Like being brought to the edge of a cliff, Keeper Ling breaks out into a hysterical laughing fit that dropped the temperature of the room down a notch. I see. I know you won't let me go even if I don't commit suicide. Suddenly, the old elder's eye turned sharp and determined. However, I want to tell you this before my death. Yun Rua, she isn't dead. She's not only alive, she's also being backed by a very powerful entity. Ha ha ha. As he laughed away, so did the palm of his hand strike down from above, smashing his brains out, and causing both eye and mouth to spill blood while dropping to the ground. Just like that, under the witnessing ray of the shining sun seeping through the open window, two lifeless bodies of some of the strongest entities here in this world finally came to an end, closing their chapter in the history books for good. Uncaring as she lazily stretched her arms at the finished sight, Bai Yen spoke with indifference. First Elder, take these corpses and toss them back to the Celestial Palace. Let them deal with their bodies if they want. Yes, Your Highness. Gradually revealing himself from a shadier part of the yard, was none other than the leading demon elder. He wasted no time in picking up the still warm sacks of flesh with his bare hands to leave. Alone again now after having her room cleaned, Bai Yen didn't go anywhere afterwards. She knows someone's coming. A familiar someone that she's been wanting to see after returning to this world. And sure enough, after a couple of minutes, a tall standing figure of warmth appears before herself after descending from the sky. Black Turtle. Contract Black Turtle 1. Queen. Black Turtle arches his fist and greets Bai Yen, his smiling face as handsome as ever. Now that you back, I ask that you contract with me again and make me your familiar. Slowly getting up from her seat, Black Turtle, how much of the past do you remember? Even though the Celestial Palace would soon become a thing of the past, Bai Yan's nevertheless unable to remember all the details from the previous life. All this demon queen knows was that they're the ones that caused her friends and family to separate, the cause of all her pain and suffering, so getting any more detail would be helpful. I don't know anything. The charming human form of the sacred turtle frowns. I only got the visions and fragmented dreams from Earth to go by. In those fragments I saw you, the king, and a man. I couldn't make out that person's face clearly, but I know he's the one. Who killed me? Bai Yan's finger visibly trembled at that last bit. Gently closing her eyes, a scene gradually reappears in the lady's head. It's a battlefield, specifically the Battle of Azure Dragon before his death. The young dragon general was dazzling and peerless in his fight against the enemy, but that shining son of a man still fell victim to a backstabbing sword from the rear, a spot in which he trusted to be safeguarded thanks to his own allies watching it. Do you mean, besides the Celestial Palace, we also have other enemies in this celestial realm? Bai Yan understands now the one who murdered her precious friends was someone they trusted. I don't know, shook the guy's head. I can't remember anything. I only know you are my mistress, and that person is close to you. As for anything else, I can't remember anymore. Bai Yan did not continue her inquiry anymore, knowing her efforts would be futile since the guy was also a reincarnation like herself. Perhaps the only person left who knows the full story would be Black Turtle. I promised Suzaku that I will bring everyone to her place on the Demon Mountain if I gather all of you. She is waiting for us now. I understand. Although Black Turtle couldn't remember anything still, these people whom he cherished the most remains firmly plastered in his heart. As a result, his lips had formed a warm smile without deliberately doing so at the mention of that bird. Now let's start the contract. Bai Yan closes her eyes to begin after saying that, allowing the man's finger to reach over to touch her forehead. Instantly, a surge of energy flowed through into the lady's mind, imprinting something between the two of them and locking their souls together. Under the blood-colored sky, a young girl dressed in white stood staring down at the stubborn-looking young teen, lying in front of herself. What's your name? The girl's eyes showed pity, yet it was crisp and easy to the ear in light of the attitude. The teenager's eyes were stubborn, black-white. Black-white. Your name is really strange, why is it both white and black? Smiling with her huge grin as she squatted downwards. I can save you, but you must follow me from now on, okay? Why? Because you are a black turtle, and the only remaining one at that. If you follow me, then I won't let anyone hurt you again. You follow me, and I won't let anyone hurt you again. The teenager's heart shuddered at the idea, his stubborn gaze finally taking a closer look at the girl's face to discern the truth in that statement. Immediately, their focus locked, and the young lad found himself moved by that smile. Without control, he nods and sealed the deal. Contract Black Turtle 2. Alright, I will follow you. In this life, as long as you don't abandon me, then I won't abandon you even in death. The teen didn't think much of his vow that day, but he really would die for her eventually somewhere into the future. Bai Yan silently stood there, as she watched the scenes flash before herself. First it was the original meeting of herself and Black Turtle, then through their growth, and eventually the final battle in the celestial realm, where the sky has been stained with blood. I, Black-White, promised her I will use my life to defend her. Replacing that stubborn young teen with the attitude was now a tall, standing and upright man, who carried an air of reliability and strength. From the day she took him in, Black-White has vowed to follow this woman for life. That's why, in spite of the terrible odds and numerous injuries along his body, this last surviving member of the Black Turtle clan would never yield or submit before the enemy. At this sight, Bai Yan's heart instinctively clenched up and wanted to help. But the lady knew she couldn't move, in fact, she could do nothing here. This wasn't real, she knew that. But it doesn't change the fact that her emotions are swirling out of control. Thankfully, sanity had the better grip in this case. Otherwise it would beat the whole purpose of falling into this state again of seeing the past. Doing nothing as the battle raged onwards, growing fiercer and deadlier with each passing minute. It soon became clear neither side could really come out on top. Unlike the other three sacred beasts, Black Turtle had the strongest defenses of them all. Even when outnumbered, The attacks aren't able to truly penetrate his skin. That was until he came. From out of the blue without anyone noticing on the battlefield, a powerful force reared its ugly head out from behind Black White's view. It's a blade comprised of condensed air. A silent yet deadly strike that penetrated straight into the man's heart, and plowing a hole right through that chest where blood sprayed out like a fountain in its wake. In light of the lethal injury, the demon general didn't fall. Instead, he fixed his gaze upwards and onto the clouds where a mysterious figure floated. In his eye, there's shocked disbelief, but more were that of sorrowful pain at the recognition. Bai Yin followed this gaze, of course. In her discovery, the person responsible for this sudden attack appeared hazy and shrouded behind a cover of mist in her view. She wanted to get a better look, finally moving her legs to go forwards. Unfortunately, like all the times in the past, this was when her consciousness got dragged back out from the deep state. Black White, standing there with a solemn attitude after recognizing where she's at. I will find out who that person is, I promise you. She never accepts betrayal, especially those whom she trusts. I believe in you, mistress. Because of the contract they just formed, Black White had changed his way of addressing this demon queen, and no longer called her his queen. During this period, you don't need to stay with me, go protect my children instead. If I'm not mistaken, it won't be long before that enemy begins to move against us. The only thing she couldn't put down was her children, especially Bai Xiachen, who has been with her the longest. Yes, mistress. Demon Realm. A blood-colored moon hung high in the sky as Chui Yi, the Holy Land's princess, strode through the open streets. She's feeling rather creeped out right now due to the strange chills running through her back. This demon realm is so scary, just like Di Xiaowan's older brother. No wonder that guy's so frightening. Contract Black Turtle 3. But we have no other option. Lan Xiaoyan, younger cousin, pinches her lips to one side. Auntie Ning already said Bai Yin cousin is in the demon realm. That's why I snuck out of home to find her. Since the day where Bai Yin disappeared from the face of this world, Bai Ning, who's the lady's own mother, had gone back to the human world, where the rest of the family resides. There. It's where she came to front with her daughter's miserable childhood, and the mistake she had committed on Bai Yin. It's also there where the woman discovered the tragic years her husband endured, and of how close the man suffered a mental breakdown. Worst of all, she couldn't even make amends for all the years of being gone due to both being missing. Her daughter disappeared before her very eyes, and her husband Yin Feng had gone out to search for her whereabouts with no news of his current location. It's irony at its finest. Xiaoyan, let's explore this place first and ask for directions to the Demon Palace. We need to find Di Xiaowan before we continue since this is her turf. They are the infamous earth-shattering 333. It wouldn't be proper if they didn't have the third within their group. Looking back at things, it's been a long while since they've been temporarily disbanded. You're right. Lan Xiaoyan quickly scans the street and fixed her eyes on a passing girl who appeared similar in age. Miss, can I ask you for direction to the palace? Coincidentally, the one being spoken to here was none other than Huang Xiaoying, the tigress and also self-proclaimed fiancé of Little Rice the White Tiger. Ever since that male feline left by following Bai Yan's footstep into the celestial realm, this poor love-struck tigress had been moody and unhappy for not being taken along. So, imagine some random girl coming up to herself with that lovely little face and asking for directions to her fiancé's home. There's no way she wouldn't be on guard. You're a human? She could tell by taking a quick sniff of their scent. We're here to find Di Xiaowan. Can you show us the way? Chui Yi changed her old arrogant temperament and asked politely. This wasn't her home nor the human world. There wouldn't be her older brother here to watch over herself. When visiting, it's only proper to change her manners in accordance with the locals. Who are you to the queen? Lan Xiaoyan blinked her beautiful eyes, slightly taken aback by that title. Do you mean Bai Yin? She's my cousin. In an instant, Huang Xiaoying's attitude flipped a 180 and showed excited joy. Then you know my future husband? Your future husband? Chui Yi exchanged a glance with her partner in crime and made a skeptical face. What is this strange demoness talking about? Her future husband, who is that? Getting all shy at the counter question, the tigress appears all red in the cheeks as she spoke. My future husband is Little Rice. Like thunder rolling across the sky, Chui Yi and Lan Xiaoyan were both left gawking on the spot. The woman in front of us is Little Rice's fiancé? But he is so young. How did he get hooked up with someone already? However, Little Rice hasn't accepted me yet. But no worries, I won't give up. Huang Xiaoying cocked a confident grin at the two girls to show her determination. Can both of you give some good words on my behalf to Her Highness and Little Rice? I can steal all of my pa's treasure and give it to you if you do. Contract Black Turtle 4. In order to pursue her husband, Huang Xiaoying would go to any lengths at this point. Pity though the main tiger of the show wasn't around to see this. Otherwise it would be a real showstopper. That's fine. Chui Yi grasped onto the tigress's hand in support. I'm looking forward to the day where you and Little Rice marry. Now can you take us to Di Xiaowan? We got something to discuss with her. Of course. Huang Xiaoying's smile grew more brilliant at the future. But you must help me persuade Little Rice for sure though. Aside from being a little older than he is, I'm perfectly good for a wife. Older? Chui Yi eyed the tigress with an examining look, unable to discern the actual age of this lady due to that youthful face. Little Rice hates it that I'm older than he is. That's why he won't accept me. She puckers her lip like an aggrieved wife, waiting for her man to return. Can I ask, how old are you exactly? Huang Xiaoying stretched out a finger as a reply. 1 year old. 1 year older is nothing. Why would Little Rice dislike her? She shook her head at the guess. Then 10 years older? 10 years older is a bit of a stretch, but it's not impossible, right? She shakes that head again. I am 100 years older. Boom. 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 Rocked by the thundering explosion in her own head, Chui didn't even know how to respond to this revelation. 100 years old, at this age, she's even older than my grandpa. No wonder Little Rice is so reluctant. Actually, I'm still considered young. Take Di Xiaowan for example. My impression of her is that she's 100 years old. But First Elder told me the princess is already a millennium in age. Huang Xiaoying pinches her lip into a flat line as she hung her head depressingly. Why is Little Rice refusing my advances? I don't get it. An awkward and shocked smile gripped onto Lan Xiaoyan's face like a haunted ghost. Di Xiaowan is 1,000 years old. She's 1,000 years old. And I just found that out. Demon Palace. Sitting at the edge of her own room's balcony, Di Xiaowan the demon princess was currently propping her chin against those hands and staring up into the blood-colored moon. Big bro has been gone for a few days already. Why hasn't he returned with sister-in-law and Xiaqin yet? I haven't seen them for so long time. Your Royal Highness. A palace maid hurriedly ran over then to make a report. Miss Huang Xiaoying of the Tiger Clan has come to seek an audience. Huang Xiaoying? What is she coming to see me for? I'm not seeing her, I'm not. I won't see anyone but my sister-in-law and new niece. Huffing a snort, she shakes her head back and forth to emphasize her droopy mood. But Huang Xiaoying brought 2 girls with her. They claim you and them are the earth-shattering 333. Wah! Before the palace maid could even finish her words, Di Xiaowan had already bolted out of there, leaving only a stunned-looking messenger in the rear coughing from the dust created. Chui Yi Lan Xiaoyan. Even from afar, the demon princess could already recognize those 2 humans standing there. Without delay, she ran over to give each a hearty hug. How did you both get here? And how did you get to the demon realm? Why didn't you send me a message? I could have had someone go pick you 2 up. At first the 2 princesses of their own home were at odds with each other. But after some further mingling and fighting, Chui Yi and Di Xiaowan were now close friends. As the old saying goes, one doesn't get to know one another unless they fight, which created their profound friendship. Of course, there's also the important factor of Chui Yi giving up on helping Chui Feng from pursuing Bai Yan. Otherwise, any friendship would mean squat in this case. Contract Black Turtle 5. According to reason, Huang Xiaoing the tigress should have the closest relationship with the demon princess, but upon watching Di Xiaowan and Chu Yi's friendly bickering, she just couldn't help but get a little jealous inside. Di Xiaowan, how come I don't see Bai Yan around? Where is she? Chu Yi kept looking around, but found none of the reason for which they came to this place. Displeased in her voice, how come she's coming out to meet us? I heard from Bai Yan's mother that she's currently in the demon realm. Stalling for a second due to the question, the demon princess quickly came back to her senses and blurted out the truth. Huh? Why would she say that? Bai Yan is not in the demon realm, she's currently missing. What? Chu Yi's heart flew into a tense shock at the news. Showing a pale face, Bai Yan's missing? How can that be? Di Xiaowan, you better not be hiding her from us. I refuse to believe she's missing. I refuse to believe that. Xiaowan, why is my cousin missing? Lan Xiaoyan also appeared flustered with panic, pressing her hands onto the demon princess's shoulder. Tell me right now the last known location of her whereabout. I'll go look for her right away. If Grandpa finds out, then he will likely collapse from the shock. Staying silent for a while longer, the demon princess finally got it and quickly remedied her own words. Don't worry and let me finish before going all crazy on me. Bai Yan is missing, that's true. However, she came back already. Both human girls were frozen in their faces due to the sudden twist. Can you not say stuff halfway and leave it hanging? Don't you know it will scare us to death? You must have done this on purpose. Chu Yi huffs and huffs. You must be jealous of me that I got to share beds with Bai Yan over the years. That's why you deliberately left us hanging. It's your way of getting payback. Do you know you almost scared me death by telling us she's missing? Di Xiaowan's expression instantly turned green with envy. You and sister-in-law got to share a bed together? The Holy Land princess proudly cocks her chin up as a confirming reply. Of course, I not only got to share a bed with Bai Yan, I also got to snuggle with Xiaochen at night and hold him like a soft pillow. Do you know how soft and cute he was when sleeping? Boom. In her fit of rage, the demon princess threw a punch directly at her friend who's clearly gloating. However, the demon girl also knew her powers were more than anyone could take since it's been recovered. Therefore, she made sure to miss by hitting the palace wall in the rear instead and smashing it apart. I don't care. When sister-in-law comes back, I also want to sleep with her. I'm going to snuggle with Xiaochen for at least a month before I stop. This time it was Lan Xiaoyan who spoke up. But aren't you afraid of your older brother? Chu Yi's older brother isn't scary. That's why she got away with it. If your brother the Demon King finds out, I'm sure he will rope you up and beat you. This time Di Xiaowan really wanted to cry tears of foul play. These friends, why do they always have to remind me of my mean brother? But Chu Yi got to sleep with my sister-in-law. The more she thought, the more unbalanced her heart became, which nearly pushed this demon princess over the edge in insanity. Acting like she's oblivious to her friend's annoyance, Chu Yi continues to gloat by adding salt to the wound. Bai Yan's body is so soft and smooth. Oh, how I miss it. Do you know how white her skin is? I couldn't even begin to describe how nice. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you know. Chu Yi. Di Xiaowan grinds her teeth in frustration, unable to do a thing aside from that death glare. Contract Black Turtle 6. Suddenly, she grinned and got a sinister smile on that face. I will tell my big bro about what you said. This time it was Chu Yi's turn to look stiff. Emerging from the girl's mind was that grimly cold expression of a man, sneering and bring chill down her spine. I'm just kidding, please don't tell your brother this. I'm a little scared of him. Such a strong and possessive man. If he finds out she had shared a bed with Bai Yan, then he would never let her get close again. Seeing she's won this quibble, Di Xiaowan proudly cocks her chin high to gloat. Let's see you gloat before me again. I can't fight with you anymore. But when it comes to verbal exchanges, you're not my opponent. Pumping those cheeks up in frustration, Chu Yi suddenly got this sensation that she's been disgraced by this sweet dumbaklutz. However, she's not glum enough to start throwing a tantrum, regardless of what's going on or into the future. It doesn't change the fact that she got to sleep with Bai Yan and used Xiaochen as a snuggle pillow. That fact alone was enough to continue her superiority over the demon princess. Di Xiaowan naturally got what her friend was thinking since she's not getting the sort of expected reaction. But then right before more words could be exchanged, a handsome and elegant face suddenly came into the girl's view, happily calling him out. State teacher. Without surprise or hesitation, the man met the call by slowly walking over, never once shifting his gaze away from the one woman whom he has an eye for. Lan Xiaoyan and Chu Yi also noticed the newcomer then. Who wouldn't when their sweet Dumbaklutz was acting so happy and excited? In that instant when they saw him, both girls were absolutely blown away. Elegant, pristine, untouchable. These were merely the sort of words that came to mind against the man's aura. Coupled with the undisguised level of doting state teacher was making towards their friend. Both of them were suddenly burning with the flare of being nosy brats waiting for the gossip to fly. Lan Xiaoyan elbows her friend and coughed a laugh. Isn't this the same state teacher Xiaowan always talk about? From what I can see by having them stand together, they're a perfect match. Back over in the human world, the demon princess would constantly blab her mouth away about her precious state teacher, and of how nice he was to herself. They would be blind to not pick up the sort of passion within those words. Pity Di Xiaowan herself was such a sweet Dumbaklutz, otherwise she too would realize her own emotions. Chu Yi didn't reply right away, instead caressed her chin while inspecting the elegant man. I've always been very good at discerning a person. Just look at the guy's interest in our Xiaowan. She is not going to get away from him, she's his for sure. The whispering conversation between the two didn't rouse much of a stir. Rather, it only made the man in question happier at the appraisal. These two are your friends? State teacher asks with his iconic gentle voice. Yes, nodded the demon princess. They are my friends from the human world. One is my sister-in-law's cousin, and the other is the dummy who's trying to steal my sister-in-law. Chu Yi's face instantly turned black like the bottom of a roast pan. What does she mean by the dummy who's trying to steal her sister-in-law? It's clearly her who stole Bai Yin away from me. I knew Bai Yin first, me I'm first. You have always had few true friends. Aside from Huang Xiaoying, these two are the only ones. Don't assume Di Xiaowan dislikes the tigress due to the sort of words she used in their conversation. They are in fact actual friends. The very few friends the demon princess actually had in this world. As for why there are so little, it's because most are either getting close in order to use the princess, or get close to Di Tsang using this channel. They aren't to be trusted. With a big smile, the girl wanted to speak again, to introduce her friends to this one man whom she trusted. However, the wonderful mood was promptly foiled on by the frail and weak-looking female coming over from the entrance. Contract Black Turtle 7. Your Highness. This bowing individual with that outstanding bodily features would be none other than the small fox brought back the other day. Her name Qiuyu. State teacher. Di Xiaowan ignored the stunning model of a female and turned to the man who has come as well. Has she been following you around? Over the years, state teacher has never been with another female, much less bring them around wherever he went. There's no way the princess wouldn't have strange ideas about the situation in this case. Naturally able to pick up on his crush's unhappy mood, the man soothes her by caressing that small head with his spoiling gesture. Didn't you say you will trust me? Nodding after a brief startle due to the intimate contact. I did. Yes, I should believe in state teacher. There's no way he would treat others differently. It's just that. As soon as that idea came to mind, her heart flared with heat, due to how shocked she was inside. It can't be. I also have state teacher in my heart. Otherwise, why else would I care if he has someone by his side? I only accepted him because I wanted a cute little baby. Go ahead and take your friends for a good stroll. I got a surprise for you later once you get back. Gentle in his smile, the man suggests after seeing the others standing around doing nothing. Okay. Di Xiaowan giggles in her smiling face, glistening with hope for the supposed surprise. Then I'll wait for it. Xiaoyan, let's go, I'll show you around my home. After saying this, the princess pulled both her friends along and left, leaving only the tigress cluelessly standing around in the background. Huang Xiaoying understood she's been forgotten, of course, but instead of being depressed at being left behind, she's more intrigued by the sparks flying between the princess and state teacher just now. Oh, I need to get this information back to Pa and grandmother. This is huge news. Without delay, the tigress promptly abandoned the thought of being discarded and ran for the palace exit, which left the man and fox lady in the background staring at her back. Qiuyu, the princess was kind enough to take you in, if you dare make her unhappy. State teacher coldly glances over to the model lady behind himself after a momentary delay. I will be the first to knot you off the hook. If not for the fact that he has something to do on the outside, and didn't trust this unidentified woman to be alone, state teacher would otherwise never allow her to be near himself. The risk of something off happening remains way too high for his liking. Issue was he couldn't let his woes be known to the princess just yet. Lord State Teacher, I didn't. Qiuyu's eyes flashed with panic, kneeling there to show her sincerity. I don't care if you mean it or not. As long as you cause Xiaowan to be unhappy, then it's your fault. The man snaps and cut her off. From this point forward, you are not allowed to appear anywhere near the princess. If you do, the punishment will be severe. He would rather kill 1,000 than to allow one single mistake to bypass his guard. No risk shall ever get past his sight. As you command, my lord. Leave then. He waves his hand and dismisses her with cold indifference. Contract Black Turtle 8, State Teacher. Before anyone knew it, Fourth Elder had somehow arrived from the back and come before the man, smiling in his face. I can tell the princess is not indifferent to you. There's actually a solution we can use to have Her Highness stay away from this unknown woman. Turning to the elder, what's the solution? If you be nicer to this Qiuyu, then the princess will dislike her some more. This white fox is too mysterious. It's far better to expel her as soon as possible. Fourth Elder had furrowed up his brow, by then due to remembering some of the past incidents. Not speaking for a moment, State Teacher was obviously contemplating the idea. I will find out her identity first. If I know she's coming with bad intentions, then she won't get away with taking advantage of Xiaowan's kindness. That only made Fourth Elder grow more anxious. Isn't that too much troublesome? We clearly have a faster way to get rid of this Qiuyu. No, you are mistaken, Fourth Elder. If something is wrong with her background, I don't intend to let her go at all. I will kill her. Losing the usual gentle kindness in his eyes, this man who's been watching over the palace started to reveal the dangerous side that's within him. What's more, the solution you proposed will hurt Xiaowan. I won't do that, even if it's meant to protect her. He's trying to marry the girl, not drive her into a jealous rage. No man would do something so silly. What if she gets payback on him somewhere down the line after their marriage? Or worse, she runs off and finds another man. Fourth Elder's expression grew slightly calmer after getting more detail. If that's your decision, I won't say more. I will send some of the cleverer maids to Her Highness's side for protection. You and His Majesty have protected the princess far too well over the years. That's why she's so pure-hearted inside and allowed so many to target her. Don't assume Deetsong doesn't care about his younger sister. The Demon King does care. It's just that in comparison to a wife and son, the sister naturally has to step aside. Above the noisy streets of the Demon Realm's capital, Chu Yi was currently holding a box of pastries in her hand when speaking to the girls next to herself. Xiaowan, do you have feelings for that State Teacher? Subconsciously vetoing the idea. No way. I and State Teacher are too familiar with each other. How could I take him as a lover? I regard him as a brother. There's nothing between us. Is that so? But aren't you going to marry the guy? Marry? Oh, that. I want to have children, and he will help me make lots and lots of lovely children. That's why I'm marrying him. Di Xiaowan once again brought up the image of the Steambun's adorable face, and how lovely and cute the little guy was. If my children can be as cute as Xiaochen, then I can die happy. At this point, both Chu Yi and Lan Xiaoyan were flabbergasted and popping their eyes out. Don't like the guy but still marry him? Then what's the deal with that jealousness? Does she think we're stupid or something? Xiao Wan, you need to cherish the guy if you have even the tiniest speck of feelings for him. Lan Xiaoyan bites her lip. Otherwise you will regret your words somewhere down the line. Contract Black Turtle 9. Just as her big brother regretted it at that time, Lan Xiaoyan doesn't want her friend here doing the same thing with that guy they just met. Regarding Lan Xiaoling, who's the eldest in the Lan house, the guy had wanted to be with the female queen of the Fengqi kingdom, since he's been smitten with her. Sadly, due to various reasons like his own self-esteem and the situation with his family's deteriorating status back in the day, the guy didn't have the courage to pursue that love. Then as Bai Yin returned and brought the Lan house to new heights, the situation suddenly got reversed, and it was the female who felt inferior. In the end, neither of the couple could get together, and remained circling around with no end to their predicament. Perhaps the topic was making the air too heavy for Chu Yi. Before she knew it, a helpless expression could be seen along this Holy Land's princess face. Yi, do you have someone you like too? Lan Xiaoyan asks after noticing the oddity. Huh? Chu Yi subconsciously shook her head out of reflex. How is that possible? I don't like anyone. In any case, I hope that both of you would take advantage of the opportunity when it comes your way. You might just regret it if you let it slip your hands. Lan Xiaoyan's face was firm in this topic. If I ever fall in love with a man one day, then I won't let anything get in my way. No matter their background or status, I will see it through. Towards that determined face of her friend, Chu Yi's mind instinctively recalled back to a youthful and handsome face. Surprised by her own involuntary reaction, the Holy Land princess promptly shook it off. How can I like him? Though she says that, the frail image of that teen remains firmly imprinted onto her heart when Bai Yin destroyed the Bai house. It's too impactful. A young man standing alone before a burning pyre filling up that estate. Xiao Wan, aching inside after remembering the past, Chu Yi asked the one thing her heart really wanted to know. Did your brother get any news about Bai Zhao's whereabout? Not thinking much of that question, which came out of nowhere considering the conversation never went there, the demon princess casually tells what she knew. I am not very clear about that. I only know my big bro left as soon as he woke up. Oh right. Why are you asking about Xiao Zhao's whereabout all of a sudden? He's after all Bai Yan's younger brother. If he goes missing, then she will be very worried regardless of what she says. That's why I'm asking. In order to not rouse any suspicion from the two friends, Chu Yi tries hard to look calm and steady on the surface. I'm only just asking. Bai Zhao was so kind to me back in the Luhua kingdom. It's only normal I ask about him since he's been gone so long. I'll ask about him once my big bro returns. Di Xiaowan says, her lip puckering into a displeased frown. Xiao Xiao is so lucky, having Bai Yin care about him so much. Totally unlike my big bro who only knows how to pick on me. He's nothing like state teacher who's always kind and gentle. From the words of this demon princess, one could hear the level of grievance she has about Di Tsong, coupled with the vastly different treatment between herself and Bai Yin and her boy. The girl only got more pessimistic inside. Don't be sad, Xiaowan. My cousin Bai Yin is also your family, she loves you too. Also, your older brother isn't that bad to you. That last bit only made the demon princess even more depressed as she breaks out crying. But he's always scaring me. It's either scolding me or calling me stupid, saying I will help my kidnapper count the money after they sell me. My brain just isn't enough to deal with those things. How am I supposed to know those people are out to kidnap me? Contract Black Turtle 10. Is it my fault that I was born slower and not sinister enough like everyone else? I can't do anything about my own birth, okay? Di Xiaowan mopes inwardly, frowning on the surface due to her own circumstances. Lan Xiaoyan also didn't know how to comfort her since in her eyes this demon princess was indeed silly and sweet to an irregular level. It's no wonder that strong and powerful older brother of hers would pick on her. Xiaowan, you initially scared us by saying Bai Yin was missing, and now she's found? Which is it, she's missing or she's not? Chu Yi blinks her eyes in confusion. She's in the celestial realm. Then how do we get there, Xiaowan? I want to look for Bai Yan and my brother. I haven't seen my brother for a long time already. What's more, Chu Yi has a hunch that Bai Xiao would be there as well. She couldn't stop thinking about the guy since he left, and would repeatedly think back to him without intention. Are you going to Celestial Realm? Di Xiaowan appears surprised. I likely won't be able to accompany you there. If my big bro finds out, then he will kill me. How about this? I can have the Tiger Chief send you to the Celestial Realm if you wish. Tiger Chief? Is it Huang Xiaoying's family? Yes, the current Tiger Chief is Huang Xiaoying's father. But if that tigress also wants to follow you to that place, then make sure to not let her meet Little Rice. It doesn't take much for the demon princess to connect the dots of her friend tagging along. Why? A female in heat is too scary. I'm afraid she'll scare my sister-in-law's little pet. Di Xiaowan has a relatively short fuse when it comes to protecting those close to herself. Since Bai Yan's pet tiger doesn't like the tigress, then it makes no sense to shove them together. Right? Chu Yi and Lan Xiaoyan both exchanged a look between themselves, understanding what it meant, and the difficult path Huang Xiaoying would be on in order to get a husband. Meanwhile, back over in the Celestial Realm, Bai Yan had just gotten herself comfy in the bed, when a gush of wind blew open the door to her bedroom. By the time the Demon Queen opened her eyes, a powerful pair of hands had already pulled her into an embrace. Deetsong, you've come. Uh-huh. Hoarse in his voice, the man's gentle demeanor stroked at the woman's senses. Since you didn't go back to the demon realm, I decided to come to you instead. I believe you still owe me something from before. As soon as he finished that, the Demon King leans downwards and kissed the female in his embrace, all the while swinging the door close with a mere whisk of his sleeve. 8 years. It's been 8 years since he had any taste of this fine, delectable woman. Many times Deetsong would have the urge to rush out of hiding and take her, but every time he would suppress the desire out of his love for her. And now, he's finally able to release all the pent-up frustration, rearing to pop from his groin. There's no way he would let her sleep tonight. Big brother, what's father and mother doing in there? And when did father arrive? How come I didn't know? Outside the courtyard was Di Ling, Yen the peachy baby, who's eyeing the closed door with curiosity. Hurrying to cover his little sister's mouth, Bai Xiachen quickly pulls her backwards. Be good, Ling Yan, mother and father are making babies right now, we shouldn't disturb them. Otherwise, father will hit people if we do. At first the steam bun also didn't understand the reason for his parents' close intimate exercise at night. But ever since he went to Earth and got his hands on those dirty magazines left around by the mortals in the Water Clan, he's learned some things, and matured to another level. But it looks like it's very painful for mother. How about we not have father and mother make more babies? I don't want mother to be in pain. Bai Xiaowan. Ling Yan, I know a really fun place we can go. Would you like to come with me? Bai Xiachen smiles brightly, his eyes flashing with the cunning light of a fox. Sure enough, the peachy baby girl's attention was swiftly shifted away with that idea. Okay, but can we bring Jean Tian with us too? No matter when or where. The twin sister would always remember her twin brother. They're both of the same coin. Come, let's go find Jean Tian and Dragoni. We mustn't disturb father and mother. Leading the way, the steam bun held his sister's hand and left without looking back. With the setting of the sun came the rising of the moon. Inside the bedroom, Bai Yan's ravaged body lay helplessly atop of her husband's as sweat soaked her skin, due to the excessive exercise they just committed. Deetsong. She grinds her teeth in frustration after gathering her breath. The wife here still hasn't gotten over the intensity and madness this guy did to her despite the pleas for mercy. Grinning mischievously like a sly dirty fox that he was, the evil smile of the man only showed the level of egotistic pride he had in what he's done. Yin Yin, your flavor is so beautiful and mesmerizing. I can never get enough of you. You beast. This guy is a beast, a perverted and mindless beast. Not rejecting the claim, Deetsong once again reverted back to his animalistic instincts and worked his hip and pushed. Of course I'm a beast that only wants to ravage you. It's never enough for him, he must have more. And sure enough, through a quick turn of positioning from bottom to top, The perverted bastard of a demon king thrusts into his wife for the second time, plowing right through the already tired barrier, and continued the sexual act. He's truly ruthless today, and intends to make her crippled in bed for days on end after tonight. Under the glistening moonlight, a man donning a snow-colored robe stood atop of a treetop near the inn, his back appearing lonely and sad, as he watched the two black silhouettes stacked atop of each other. It doesn't take much for this person to understand what they're doing inside. Unable to bear this pain, he eventually turned, and left lest he loses to his emotions to barge in there and separate the two. Wandering aimlessly through a forest, Chewy God eventually came to a halt after sensing an energy signature nearby. God. Coming out from hiding was a woman donning a long blue dress, her face veiled with a thin silk to give off an outer appearance beauty and purity. What are you doing here? He asks with that forever emotionless voice of his. I came to see you. Yun Ruashi's gaze was as captivated as ever towards this man. It's so bad that the woman had started to approach without thought. You never divulged my locations to Bai Yen and Deed Song. Is it because your heart still has me in there? After she was rescued, she had gone to meet with Chewy God on several occasions. Never once did the man before herself reveal her location. Otherwise, she wouldn't be standing here anymore. Bai Xiao too. I'm always ready to be your wife, if you want me to, she says, eyes blazing with hope for the answer. Not turning to face the old witch, Chewy God continues to have his back on her. You are overthinking things. I didn't kill you because there's still value in your existence. If it weren't for Yun Ruashi, Bai Yin wouldn't have gone to the demons. If it weren't for Yun Ruashi, he wouldn't be in this precarious state of not being able to see her again for a full millennium. He hates this woman standing behind himself. It's past the point of being mere emotions anymore. In fact, it's burned into his bones that he would tear her soul apart. No, I don't believe it. I know you have feelings for me. The truth suddenly sent the old witch into a hysterical burst of self-denial. God, I love you. Don't you know I did everything for your sake? Why won't you accept me, why? She has lost to Bai Yin once, this time she won't lose again. That remark finally got the celestial lord to face her. Even so, those eyes were that of strangers with no warmth, only cold indifference. What you do is always for yourself. Boom. There seemed to be a lightning strike manifesting above their heads, striking the old witch until her heart's a charred thick pile of dust. It became difficult to breathe, like she's suffering from incredible pain in the chest. Clearly what the man said hurts. A ruthless rebuke to the lie that's keeping her going after losing it all. Again, the impressionable picture of their first meeting relapses back into her mind like always when she's about to lose her mind. It's the image of young love, the most important time to shape a person's character. Then why did you make me fall in love with you? I fell in love with you, yet you won't take responsibility. Tears filled those eyes as she cried this out aloud, not moved in the slightest. If only you had never fallen in love with me, that would have been better. That way then those tragedies from 1,000 years ago would not have happened. Bai Yin would not hate him to the core. Yun Ruashi's trembling body instantly froze over like an iceberg. If her heart had been pierced 1,000 times by his harsh refusal, then the words just now was a crushing blow to her sanity. Did he just say he wished I hadn't fallen in love with him? Haha. Funny how laughable. In her lapse of having a breakdown for the next while, Yun Ruashi started to ooze a foul aura that seeped into the environment. It's disgusting, turning everything it touches to death and rot. If only the celestial lord had remained after pushing her over the edge. If he did, then he would instantly strike her down. This transformation from the old, which was far too corrupt even for Chewy God to turn a blind eye. Sadly, the man had left earlier and didn't witness the change. Bai Yen, if it weren't for you then Chewy God would have fallen in love with me. You clearly have the Demon King already. Why are you stealing what's mine? I won't ever let you go, never. Yes, everything that's wrong in her life was the fault of Bai Yen. It's not her own deceit and lies. It's not her own treacherous scheming and foul heart. It's all someone else's. Vowing for revenge was one thing. Actually carrying it out was another. Yin Ruo, she was no fool. She knows Bai Yin and Di Song remains out of her reach. Getting up from the ground through much struggle, she sneered at the dark open sky and disappeared through a rip in the fabric of reality. Ever since the cold, lifeless bodies of Keeper Ling and Keeper Zun were thrown back over to the Celestial Palace, those remaining defenders had fallen into a great mess of panic and fear. Bai Yin kept her promise, of course. She herself didn't seek revenge on those people. However, that didn't stop the demons rearing for the chance of revenge. As a result of this instability and the disappearances of the other keepers, the entire celestial realm has fallen into rampant strife and danger. Bai Xiao 3, Dawn. Inside the inn, Di Song had just swung open the door when the stumbling Bai Xiachen rolled uncontrollably through the open entrance and into his parents' view. Batty father, shamelessly calling out in a bemoaning voice despite being caught red-handed. I am here to say good morning to mother. You came to say good morning to your mother? Then how come you are using a Dan pill to help cover up your presence before coming? What do you take your old man for? Di Song asks with a snarky grin, acting oblivious like he doesn't know what his old man was saying. I merely ate one of the snacks mother made me. I didn't know what effects it had. Batty father, I really don't know what you're implying. He's just a kid anyways. Not like anyone could do anything to him if he doesn't admit to eavesdropping on his parents. Di Song openly laughed at his boy's excuse. Picking the brat up by the back collar, he pats the steam bun on the head in a praising manner. As expected of our son Yin Yen, he inherited all my good points. Propping her head up by leaning against the palm of her hand, Bai Yin lazily glances over from the bedside. And that is? Shamelessly thick-skinned. Bai Yin appeared so shocked that she's either stupefied by the dumb answer or just dead inside. That does Di Song really consider that a good point? Mother. Breaking free from his old man's grasp, the boy opens up his arms and pounced at the bed where Bai Yin laid. I want a hug. Bai Yin heard this, of course, and promptly answered the jump by catching her boy with open arms as well. She's more than happy to give him a morning hug, just like when he's a cute little baby. However, the Demon Queen's forgotten there's a husband she must attend to in this case, especially when her own inner dress was partially loosened for all to see. Without letting their son actually make contact, Di Song had caught the boy jump and swung around just as fast, tossing the steam bun out the door without any force but enough to send him out into courtyard's grass. Bang! Batty father, you open the door. Bai Xiachen desperately hammered away at the closed room using his hands. That voice sounds so wrong that it's difficult to listen. I already gave you and mother some alone time. You can't hog mother forever. I want to be with mother, so you open the door. He continues to hammer away to no avail. Ignoring the ruckus outside the room, Di Song swings around to his wife and locks onto those delicate breasts that's clearly flashing before his eyes. Put your clothes on. Pricking her eyes up at her husband's order. But he is my son. Besides, I'm not completely naked. Only a little that can be easily covered with a knot. You aren't to be seen by other men below the neckline. Bai Yan's mouth twitched. He is only 8 years old, not a man. That word only applies to those without a third leg. Are you saying our son doesn't have a third leg? Di Song counters with his own logic, refusing to budge on the issue. But Jin Tian is only 2. He's not allowed either. Jin Tian is also a male, though still a baby, but still a male. Yin Yen, why don't we go for a few more daughters? This way Xiachen won't be able to pester us by preoccupying his energy with someone else. Flashing an evil light in his scheming eye, Di Song fires off his evil grin of doing something devious. Sure enough, the Demon King carried out his evil thoughts by pouncing like his son at Bai Yen and removed all the clothes in its entirety. Bare and naked, man and woman unites and bonds into one single ball in that bed once again, raising the hormone in the room to an abnormal level. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.